Old School Pokemon here, back again with another PokeFlipz podcast, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. And today we have a very special guest joining us. We've got Alex, Nostalgia Nomics. How are you both doing today?
Doing very well over here.
I'm doing fantastic. It is an honor to be invited onto the PokeFlipz podcast.
Invited onto the PokeFlipz podcast and officially a part of the Vintage Cabal now. Now you are that which you have sworn to destroy.
Am I now one of the boogeymen?
Welcome to the Cabal. Yep, you're in it. There's no once you go on PokeFlipz, there's no going back. I mean, that's as official as it gets.
That's really going to be the peak of your YouTube career right here. It's all downhill from here.
I'm sure everyone knows who Alex is from Nostalgianomics, but Alex, if you want to hit us with a quick little intro, tell us who you are, what you do, how excited you are to be a part of the Cabal now.
So funny enough, I was a kid during '99, and grew up with Pokemon. And when I got back in, all I collected was vintage. And it's crazy for people to hear that, literally every single thing I bought for the first probably year or 2 years in the hobby was nothing but vintage cards, vintage sealed product, opened vintage, whatever it was. Basically, during the boom, just like everyone else, we all got real lucky. Things went exponentially up. And instead of making it into a business, I saw an exit strategy. So I was one of the people that did sell out into all the hype. I just kept a few things from my collection, and I thought everything was I thought it was going to be a lot uglier than it was. And obviously, we saw a huge correction, but the hobby stayed strong through it. And I stepped away for about a year or so, and then I started looking again and saw the market was still strong and things were still picking up, and the community was strong, and YouTube channels were still growing. And so that was kind of when I decided to come back in the hobby and basically start fresh. And I noticed kind of a shift in the popularity of modern over vintage, and really went hard into modern. And here we are now. It's been working out pretty well since.
I see somebody saying Alex is a little quiet. I'll try to turn Alex up a little bit from my end if I can.
I'll move the mic closer too.
Yeah, I don't know that I can actually. There probably is a way, but I don't know how.
That's all right.
How's it sound? Everyone hear me all right?
You sound good on my end, and it looks like I have everything set for you and Nick to be the same volume as me. So hopefully it's fine for most people. But yeah, with that, we really have no itinerary for the day. The induction ceremony actually took place slightly before we went live. There are certain parts of that process that cannot be broadcast live on YouTube. So that's all been done. All the T's have been crossed, all the I's have been dotted. So if you have any questions in chat, feel free to leave them. We're just going to be pretty much hanging out. We're going to be hanging out till 4 p.m. Eastern. And I think, Alex, you're going on vacation soon, right? You mentioned you're nice. I had a pretty decent clickbait on my channel on Monday. Nick doesn't post, so he doesn't know anything about clickbait. But Alex had a pretty solid clickbait yesterday with his last live stream ever, right?
Absolutely. Yours was good too. I liked yours. The moment of silence and everything. That was good too. But yeah, man, this is a great vacation send off. We're leaving tomorrow and going for a full 2 weeks. I've never been able to get away for 2 weeks. I've always been either running a business or, me and my wife were working jobs where it wasn't possible. So it's definitely going to be pretty cool thing getting away for a full 2 weeks and just enjoying ourselves for a while.
That'll be nice. That'll be a nice little break.
Yeah, I think the only time
Absolutely.
I ever did 2 straight weeks was my honeymoon. I think that was the first and the last time I ever did 2 continual weeks, because it's tough. It's tough when you have a 9 to 5 too, because it's like that's your whole allotment in many instances for the year. It's like, do I want to burn my whole 2 weeks vacation on one span and then have to go through navigating the rest of the year with just a week of personal? That was a bit tight, but obviously for the honeymoon I got it done. So seems like we have some questions coming in the chat here, so I'll start to take those. Alex, looked like you were going to say something. I know you can't see me for timing. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, owning a lawn care and landscaping company a lot of my life, I had to forego summer vacations for a lot of my life, and our vacations were always in the winters. And so I'm definitely taking advantage nowadays of taking summer vacations.
Yeah. So let's see what we've got. We've got a lot of people hanging out. We've got Boondock, we've got Ponga, we got Walk In with Pokemon, you walk in with Pokemon, I think it is. Chris Gates, Brad G, Chevals, Nico. Cheval says question rarity. I don't know what to do with that, but time to show some modern. We got some battle styles investors in here. Brad G Cards wants to know, what do you guys think about investing in scratch-off tickets by the roll? You got
About the same as I feel about investing in opening modern booster boxes.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's like I guess the thinking behind it is like buying a whole case instead of buying a loose pack, right? Theoretically, there could be no funny business going on, no tampering going on, but I would tread lightly in either scenario, personally.
Well, why don't we just get the spiciness started for everyone? I've got a question, and Nick can chime in on this too. I got a question for Dan.
Let's go.
Oh boy.
Let's go.
All right. What do you consider a rational purchase?
A rational purchase? Like what item? You're looking for an item, or just like talking about things surrounding what would make a purchase rational?
I mean, there's always the discussion of the markets being irrational. A lot of times when it comes to the modern market, but I'm just trying to figure out what makes a purchase rational. Like what price point? Like how much? Here's a question. Like how much over a raw price should someone pay for like a PSA graded card makes it a rational purchase?
I think the rationality of a purchase has a lot more to do with like what is the expectations for the purchase. So a black label 001 SVP. Let's look at that one because I've been picking on it a lot lately. That card is $25, $30 sealed. That card is $60 in PSA 10. About 1/5 of the PSA 10s probably would be black labels because the black label percentage is 20%. They're black labels that just got sent to the wrong company, so they're in PSA 10 cases forever. I think if you have enough money and you know what you're buying, I think buying a $300 black label 001 SVP can be a rational purchase. Like if you have that much money that it doesn't matter to you and you want the card and you have no expectations for it. Like I know what this is. I know what I'm getting into because I also think it's rational, as crazy as it sounds. It's rational to go and lose $300 at the casino. It's rational to go to a concert and spend $300 on concert tickets. If that's what brings you joy, if you have the money and you're not paying crazy interest on it and you're not expecting it to 10x, it's all about expectations and context. Whereas the same card, if you're paycheck to paycheck, if you're not taking employer match, if you're buying the $300 black label 001 SVP, expecting it to be $3,000 in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that's where it becomes irrational. So rationality is a spectrum. And I don't think, even if you have the money, even all the things, all the boxes checked, a 001 SVP black label for 300, that's still less rational than like buying 10 of them sealed, in my opinion, even if you have the money. But like, yeah, a lot of it is about the nuance and the context that's needed. But it's a good question.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It comes down to each person's expectations and their their position. But I guess what I was more trying to get at is I know. I mean, I know. I think you just do it to troll a lot. But I mean, like realistically, don't you think it is rational for people pay extra for these PSA slabs? Because you got to think about it. An average person, they're not going to take the time to go through and source cards, get them in, pre-grade them, grade the card, hope it comes back a 10. If it doesn't, now they got to go through the work of selling off the 9, getting that money, trying to buy another, get that 10. It's like most people, they're okay if the card's 5, 10, 15, $20 to pay 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, maybe an 80, I don't know, $100, whatever it may be, or just to have that slab in their collection. No work, no risk. I just think I know it, like a lot of people that grade every day just think that's so easy, but I think the whole process as a whole, I think it is a little more valuable than is let on. I think it is a little more rational for people to pay for these items than some people in the flipping community think.
Yeah, it's always
100% agree.
it's always like taking it.
I think we're
Or go ahead, Nick. Go ahead,
okay.
Nick. I already went for a while. You go.
I think us watching these types of videos and these types of channels, we're the vast minority of people in the hobby. Most people in the hobby don't know how to pre-grade cards. They don't know how to send cards off to PSA. So for them to spend that $80 on whatever, 80, $100 on the card, when you can buy raw copies for 20, $30 and have a good chance at getting a 10, that makes perfect sense to me. I don't think those types of situations or those types of purchases are ever going to go like drastically down. I can see that type of stuff lasting for a good amount of time. I think it's those when we're back in those days where we had the $1,000 EVs and Pikachu's. That's a different story. But these purchases where you're making 2-3x your money on PSA 10s for us grading them, I think that does make sense, and I think that is more rational. I don't necessarily see I can't see like that kind of situation like drastically decreasing where you're making way less on those types of flips.
Is this better? Can people hear me better?
I think you sound the same for me now. But no, it's good
Well,
though.
I'm trying to mess with Discord settings.
No,
I can. It looks like.
I've been hearing you fine the whole time. We only had one mention that you were a little bit quiet, not that like they couldn't hear you at all. So I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of like imposter syndrome going on. We do it. We're in the thick of it. We're in the 1% of the 1% as far as engagement goes. To the average consumer, like I'm gonna make a couple of videos in the coming weeks and maybe months on these topics a little bit deeper too. But I feel fine selling a $10 or a $15 card for like 60 or $70 in a PSA 10. I hope that they're not investing. I hope that they're just consuming. I hope that they know what they're getting into, that they're not like hoping price goes up, because I really don't think price will go up on a lot of those type of slabs. But I don't think it's that overly damaging regardless. Like, as long as they're not like not feeding their children, stealing their children's college tuition savings and things of that nature, which you can never know. Like, everyone here is adults, everyone registered on eBay with their credit card linked. I mean, they're checking boxes that they're adults, that they're 18 at least. Hopefully nobody's lying on those. But it becomes very dangerous to say what things should be worth and what they should be priced at. So my thing is always just trying to be the cheapest on the market, and it feels higher than it should be. In some ways, it feels like it's probably not sustainable, just given the hourly rates I might be able to make from time to time. And I guess, again, rationality is a spectrum. And those first to market plays that still go on, the first one goes for 1,000, and then it goes 800, 700, 600, 500 down, and then it settles at like $100, $200 PSA 10. Blows my mind that those things still go on. But like, look anywhere else. Look when the PS5 comes out, and people are paying $1,500 to get that, to be the first ones. They've got to have it. Obviously, they're getting that additional time of like actual utility playing the game and experiencing it, whereas you're not getting that. I guess you're not getting like, you're not using it, but you're owning it still. So it becomes dangerous to say what should and shouldn't be when it's other people's choices. Oh, we can't hear you right now, Alex. We can't hear you right now. You have anything else to add on that, Nick?
No, I think we covered that one pretty good.
When he turns his video off, it messes up where our faces are on the things.
Oh, I was wondering why that kept happening.
Yeah, it's if he turns his video off. But yeah, let's see if Alex has audio back.
Should be back. Hear me?
Okay, you're back. You're back. Yeah.
Go.
Okay. No, I agree with all that. You know, I know we all like troll each other, but I mean, you know, there's probably some people watching that legitimately like feel, you know, like almost feel like they're idiots if they're buying slabs. Where I don't think it's always the worst thing in the world to pay 40, 50, 60, 70, $80, you know, for a PSA 10 slab sometimes.
And there are things that I'm sure, like people would, we in our positions, where what we do in life, where we are, we look at, oh hey, you buy an $80 slab, how dumb is that? There would be people like I'm sure there's some people in Pokemon saying that, like who would buy those? There are people in here buying $100 t-shirts, buying $100 pairs of shoes that other people would look at and say is crazy. I buy like I guarantee you everyone has something that they buy or do that it's like, what are these people doing? We're just in this group, we're deep in it, so to them they're the weird, like to us they're the weird ones, but we're the weird ones to someone else when it comes to spending. Like yeah, it's adults making adult decisions with their money, and the only thing I always fear is like if they are being led astray and they're being like having things pumped and dumped on them, which some of that did go on in 2020, some of that does go on periodically. I just hope that people aren't like stonking out in things that are going to hurt them, which you can only do so much, right?
Exactly. I know this is your guys' show, but Pong, Ponga had a question. Gonna pull it. He said,
uh,
question in your
yep.
live yesterday. Yeah, you said the next catalyst would would for a book. I don't know what that means,
A
but it would
boom
be base
maybe.
jungle fossil reprint. Uh, would that be a catalyst if no one likes those cards? So I've always been a fan of base jungle and fossil. The original 151. Um, I mean, the reason I own first edition PSA nines, base set PSA nines, is because I believe that people go back to the very first. My issue with is thinking that every set all throughout all of vintage, all of mid era is going to have enough demand for people to come back and find all of these real niche cards. I've always said the whales are always going to want the best. The gold stars, the shinings, the top tier, those are always going to have a market. I just have a problem when people start talking about all these different, you know, niche cards and all these different eras all throughout '01 to 2014. I just don't think the hobby's deep enough and people care enough to go dive into things they have no nostalgic connection for. But I think because 99 2000 was the biggest boom next to, you know, what's going on now, I think there'll always be enough, you know, enough love for those sets. That's why I feel that way.
Yeah, the base jungle fossil, I think they're the most historic. It becomes a dangerous thing because like the print runs of those sets were historic too. Not quite what we're going through right now, but it would be interesting if they were to do another. I mean, they've already done. They did evolutions. They've done base set a lot, but to get like an actual jungle reprint set, a fossil reprint set, that would be interesting.
Well, the other thing is they do like these quasi reprints, right? They do like evolutions, they do celebrations, whereas like Yu-Gi-Oh, like they just released an exact reprint. And I feel like it'd be cool if Pokemon would just reprint the exact set, every original card. You don't have to add in all this, you know, ridiculousness. Like give us a reprint. If you want to add some full arts and new stuff in, that'd be cool. But it's like don't pick and choose. Like with evolutions, oh, we're not going to give you Blastoise, we're not going to give you Venusaur, we're not going to give you all the original hollows. Like I just wish Pokemon would stop trying to get too cute with the reprints, I guess.
Yeah, I want a full reprint set, but I want like parallels. So I want all the original base, but then I want like a shiny Charizard Chase, a shiny Blastoise, like shiny for every single one, and then like a 1 of 100 serialized for each. Like let's go big, let's go big, big.
Man,
Serialized.
That's evil Flipper Dan coming out right there, because that would be stonky right there.
that would be. That would be.
We do have a
Yeah,
question.
there's a reason Pokemon does all these like evolution celebrations 151. Those sets are always going to be popular because of the original 151 Pokemon. Even though it's not like an exact replica of base jungle fossil, it has those Pokemon. The cards look kind of similar, um especially like evolutions and celebrations. 151 will look a little bit different, but they do still kind of bring you back to the original sets, and it's always those sets that do really well.
People know what they want. Um, we do have a question that always comes up, kind of a litmus test on this channel. How do you feel and what do you do at the grocery store? Once you're done, you put your groceries in your car. What are you doing with that car? Are you a job creator? Do you leave your cart so that it creates jobs for all the body shops and the cart returners? Or do you put your cart back like a civilized human being?
Always put the cart back, and if not, the cart narcs will get you. If anyone knows what that is.
Cart narcs is hilarious. Big shout out to Cart Narcs on Instagram. Hilarious channel. That yeah, the guy just goes around with like a little, he like imitates a siren, and he goes up and confronts people that don't put their carts back. He had a gun pulled on him before. There's actually a video. He had a like, so, guy's insane. Like I don't know how he does it.
It started off on the Woody Show radio show.
Yep.
Like a morning show I used to listen to, and that's where it all started. It's hilarious.
Um. Nico wants a public statement from Alex concerning Thomas. Poor Thomas that was banned in his prime. from the channel that never bans.
Never gonna live this one down.
It's gonna be an eternal meme.
I get asked to ban people in Discord at least once.
Here's a question from Retro. So Alex basically you dumped Watsy during the boom thinking it was time to exit, but now is bullish. What makes him think this time it's different?
Ooh. All right. So everyone, don't take any offense to this answer. Okay. This is just how I feel. Right. So, everyone enjoy the hobby the way you want to enjoy it. If you're a collector, if you just like Pokemon, how I feel about it. I think with the 2016 evolutions, Pokemon Go, with, the Hidden Fates and then Sword and Shield, I think we've seen a lot of, like people from who grew up like in their 20s and 30s, going back and just revisiting things they loved as kids, collecting again. And then, a lot of like the people who've always been in Pokemon, like the true Poke nerds, right? And they got, they just had huge collections. They got very lucky and got very rich. And it was just a real collector based, knowledge based. You really want to know all the nuance of Pokemon and really care about the cards and care about the characters. I think this next time around, as we're already seeing, it's going to be different. It's going to be the real money. It's going to be the very financial literate people. It's going to be actual, like, analysts. Like, it's going to be people who are actually moving in with strategic moves in the hobby with real money. You're seeing it in sports. It is starting to trickle into Pokemon. I mean, if you could see some of the messages I get from people that, I've had a couple of people on the channel, but there are people with large amounts of money moving into Pokemon, and they're looking to make very strategic moves. I think that's why I'm so bullish. I see the amount of money that's pouring into Pokemon, and it's not from collectors who can afford a few hundred or a few thousand or whatever it is. People who can afford hundreds of thousands. And so that's why I see the hobby continuing to do well moving forward.
One thing I'll say, not to be the perma bear, not to be the negative guy, but like investors generally perform better when most people are collecting. So one thing that just causes me a little bit of like pause, that makes me a little bit nervous, if too much what's the word I'm looking for? If too much like corporate big dollar money comes in, we saw it in coins. Well, I say we, it happened before I was born. What was the fund called? It happened in coins in 1980. Coins performed so well historically, did a lot of like a lot of big money came in. Was it like there was some fund.
Yeah, I forget. I couldn't tell you the name of it.
There was
I know what you're talking about, though. There
was some fund that was put together. Basically, a bunch of that's the word I was looking for. Institutional money came into coins because, hey, it's performing so well. Analogy, hey, look at every Ultra Modern booster box. If you have a company that comes by and just socks away 100,000 booster boxes from every set moving ahead for the next decade, it might work out fine as long as everything continues to go well. But if and when things start to turn and all that product is just sat there on pallets ready to be dumped, and if the people just write it off as a loss, if people want to just take a big tax loss and just dump all those pallets altogether, things could get dark. Like that's not me saying that that's going to happen. 1% chance, 10% chance, whatever chance you think it is a realistic scenario that could happen. So like, just always know your risk. I've got to be that guy. I've got to be the disclaimer, know the risk guy. So that's just the one thing I worry about a little bit when I hear like it's great to hear that money's coming in, but if it's money that's ready to just cut and take that loss so that they can work out their taxes that year, and it's millions don't matter to them if it's that kind of money, and that could like really harm things for a decent amount of time. So just know the risks and take care of your own financial picture, I guess, is what I'll say.
I can see both sides of that. Like on the one hand, with 2020, I think more people, like a lot more people, were collecting. Nobody was investing in WotC booster boxes back then. So the dramatic price increase of all those booster boxes, it was obviously way too drastic, but I think it made a little bit more sense because there weren't these like plentiful massive hordes of these boxes. Whereas with modern, everyone and their mother seems to be setting modern booster boxes aside. So could that same type of scenario happen? Obviously, the pricing probably wouldn't go up that much, but could we see that type of situation happen again with all of these modern investors? I'm not sure. But then on the flip side of that, go on TCG Player and eBay and just look at how many of these boxes are selling every single day and how many people are ripping packs every single day. It's wild how much product is being opened and sold, and how many more people are in the hobby specifically for modern Pokemon.
And
So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
full disclosure, Dan, like in spite of the risk, I do all my tax advantage stuff. I do all my like financial foundation stuff, but I intend to have 20 to 25 cases of every set moving ahead. I plan on getting in at the ground floor. I am not looking to sell these boxes as $2,000 5-year-old sets like Team Up. I'm not looking, my price target is not $500 Evolving Skies within 2 years. My realistic price target for me, and maybe I'm like being way too bearish, maybe I'm way short selling it, but I'm looking, if I'm selling these boxes in 5 years for like 250 to 300 bucks, I'm really, really like fantastically thrilled with that return. So that's in spite of the risk that I give, like I want to give you what I'm actually doing. 20 to 25 cases of each set. The only reason I don't have 10 to 20 plus cases of each set from Sword and Shield is because most of them hit price targets that I didn't expect them to hit for a few years. Like they hit it within a few months, or they hit it within a year or 2 years. So that's why I sold it all. If and when Scarlet and Violet does that, I will have 0 Paldea evolved in 2 years. If it's a $200 box, probably. I have almost all of it right now because it's a $95 box and I paid $95, right? So I'm quite confident though that within 5 years that will be a $200+ box. So that's like all my context. That's actually what I'm actively doing.
Well, yeah, let me like challenge everyone, and you guys can give me your opinions. But like, think about this. I mean, I know myself. There's a lot of boxes back in Sun and Moon XY that I'd love to open. I mean, we're all collectors here. I mean, how much would you pay for fun, right? Like whether it be a special occasion, like you had Jake over at your house that night, or a birthday, or Christmas, or just like you just want to have fun. $200, $300 out of the realm of possibility of paying. And it's like, that's what tells me people are there's a price point that consumers are still willing to pay for fun. And I agree, once they get up to 500, 1,000 plus, it becomes a lot lower. But I mean, for boxes to rise to 200, 300 and still get sold and still be liquid, it's not that crazy of an idea. You guys
No,
think?
I don't think 200-300 for certain boxes is crazy. Like just talking about Scarlet and Violet. I don't know about any of the sets we've seen so far. Paldea Evolved was a good set. I did really like that one. I could see potential in that one. Scarlet and Violet base, can't see that. Obsidian Flame, even, I don't know. Maybe with the Charizards. But yeah, no, 200-300 a box. I can definitely see people opening that for fun and just enjoying that. Yeah, even going like back to Sun and Moon. I know I did a Cosmic Eclipse box break a couple of weeks ago. And even those boxes, 800, it is expensive. But the amount of like not just like your actual hits, but like all the like the OG character rares and cosmic clips, and the amount of cool cards you're getting from that box. I think that's a good value, even at this new price point that we're at right now. Then when you get into some of the other ones like Team Up, Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, or maybe team up specifically. That one I don't know. That one I think is a little too expensive. Because you're only getting like the 6 hits in the box. So I do think certain ones are still like a good price point, even at today's prices.
And we've all been to conventions. When you talk like a $200 booster box, you're only talking a $6 pack. When people go to conventions, and conventions are happening every week, one way or the other. Like Collecticon is doing 8 of them. You've got Card Party, you've got Worlds. Like the amount of product, the amount of sealed product that dies at these events is just mind blowing. I mean, they're obviously printing billions and billions, but like tune into Whatnot, tune into eBay Live, tune into YouTube live streams. I'm going to be ripping Obsidian Flames tomorrow. So is Nick. So are hundreds of other people. Like attrition rate is pretty high in spite of maybe a little more sealed investing going on. It's just if and when that tilts too crazy. And I do believe in Pokemon and I trust Pokemon. They went through it 20 something years ago. They've seen a lot of other people go through it before. I mean, MetaZoo and some of these other IPs are navigating the same thing as well. I think Pokemon will navigate it as well as they can. I kind of believe in them to manage print runs to where hopefully we don't get too destroyed. But I mean, in the past year or two, like what was it, a year and a half ago, we saw Chilling Reign go to like 78, 80, low 80s. And it's done well since then. It's obviously done well since then. So I there could be a dark span of months and maybe even a few years. And as long as you're ready for those little bumps in the road, like I believe in Pokemon being around in 25 years from now.
Flip that.
These are all things like this is not new.
First positive things Dan said about Pokemon in years.
I need to give my disclaimers, but like these are things that I've always said. These are things that I've always said. Short plastic, long cardboard. Like I believe in Pokemon. I really do. Walk in with Pokemon says, when is the rational time to sell? And don't say when it's right for you. I'll go first quickly. The obvious actual answer is when it's right for you. Pending cash flows, pending like tax situations. It's like, what's 2 + 2? But don't say 4. Because that's the only answer. Like literally that's the only answer. Other than that, the most rational time to sell is if the market values something significantly higher than you do. But even then, there's certain times that like maybe it's not the best tax-wise to sell everything all at once. In hindsight, makes it clear when the best time to sell everything was. But unfortunately, we don't have that until it's too late. So yeah, what do you guys think? 2 + 2, but you can't say it's 4. What's the answer?
I have a good answer. So one, obviously, if you need the money, if your actual life is, jeopardy of, things in your personal life, you actually need the money. Obviously, it's time to sell. The other thing is, if this is truly an investment, you're looking to build, your net worth over time in this. I always look at where else can I put my money? Where else can you first eat the fees and shipping? And where else can you put the money left over after that you feel is going to grow at a faster pace at the same amount of time? And again, you could be wrong. That's what investing is. You could make the wrong decision, but if you make a logical decision in your mind and you say, well, I see a lot more opportunity in this, I feel like, just a random one. I feel like I could sell, an Evolving Skies booster case. I could put it in all of these other booster boxes, and I think those are going to double before Evolving Skies doubles again. And even after eating the fees and shipping, it's still going to make sense. And maybe it's time to sell for you. So I would just always be kind of going through and auditing your investment, maybe every quarter, every year, and coming up with those ideas of, well, how long do I want to sit in this? Do I still see the future for this, or do I see a better future in something else?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think that's the best answer is like what you were saying, Alex, is how much do you believe in the product? Do you believe it could go up further in the long term? Evolving Skies is a great example. Evolving Skies and even Heroes. I still have some of those booster boxes, and I'm not selling right now because I do think there's room to go up even further. So I'm still holding those booster boxes because I think those are really good sets, and I think they're going to do well long term. So it's kind of for me anyway. It's more so just like a feel. Is it a set that I really personally enjoy? If that's the case, then yeah, I'll hold it longer than making 2, 3, 4, whatever times my money. But if it's something where I don't really like the product myself and other people really like it, and I'm able to sell it for a profit, then yeah, I'll take a whatever type of profit I can get on it. Another thing though is I do think it's important for people investing in Pokemon or collecting Pokemon to also know how to sell. So maybe if you haven't sold anything, maybe try selling a few things just to get kind of that learning experience on how to list stuff, how to package stuff, all of that type of stuff. So that's another thing. I wouldn't go years and years and years just collecting, investing, whatever, not selling a single item. And then when it comes time that you actually do want to sell everything, you have to learn that whole process.
Yeah, because otherwise you're gonna sell on Facebook, and Nick's gonna hit you up with 60% on your Chilling Rain cases, and you're expecting to get like 88% after eBay fees.
Yep.
Couple questions for Nick I will grab. We have Brad G Card saying, "What are you throwing up on eBay Live tonight?" And maybe the same answer. Mr. Kite asking, "Did you open Obsidian Flames this week, or is my final hope for profiting off opening product gone forever?" I'm assuming if you run past midnight, you'll probably be ripping some Obsidian Flames on eBay Live tonight, right?
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. I was actually thinking about doing a little shorter of a live tonight because I do have to get all my Obsidian Flame stuff listed. I haven't gotten any of that stuff listed yet. So yeah, for the eBay lives, those have been going really good. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm on there 6 nights a week, Monday through Saturday. Tonight I'm gonna be doing. I think I'll be doing a few less auctions. Like normally I do 60 auctions. I think I'll probably like cut that in half tonight, do 30. So I'll probably do like some like higher end cards. Throw some like $20, $50 cards in there. Um, mixture of WotC modern graded stuff like that. Then get into our pack rips as well. And then, like I said, I gotta get focused on Obsidian Flames. I am way behind on that. I have not sorted any of my bulk. I did sort through all of my hits, so those are all ready to go. But I gotta actually get those listed. Yeah, Obsidian Flame. That is a I don't know. I think the print quality on that set went way down compared to Paldea Evolved. At least for like my sample size. My like Scarlet and Violet base was terrible print quality. Paldea Evolved got a little bit better. I think Obsidian Flame went right back down to Scarlet and Violet base. But on the plus side, the pull rates are also really really good for Obsidian Flame. I took a picture. So far, I've opened 36 booster boxes. I've pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the special illustration rare Charizard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the secret rare Charizard. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 of the regular full art Charizard from 36 boxes. So really, really good pull rates. Super easy to put the set together. I saw another comment about Danny Phantom completing the set in 2 cases. 100% possible. The pull rates are super super easy with Obsidian Flame.
That's scary.
Yeah, let me find that comment. I'll throw that one up.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I kind of changing topics from the eBay Live thing. I hope Pokemon does get back to a tough pull rate like the Alt Arts and Sword and Shield and all these like the tag teams and Sun and Moon. I hope we do get to a point like that because right now it's just too easy to pull everything. Which is great for people wanting to just kind of collect the cards and open packs and build the sets and all that stuff. But long term, you need to have that chase available for people to stay interested in the actual cards and in the sets and want to buy boxes and all of that stuff. I don't see Scarlet and Violet, like sealed product, doing very well. If there is no chase and you're able to build complete master sets in so few packs, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming months, coming years.
That is very concerning. That is not a good thing. I mean, for collectors, you need the chase. The hit cards, as long as they are the same exact playability as their, lesser counterparts, that's all the players need. The players do not need to have alt arts in their deck. The players don't need the top rarity. So I think Pokemon does need to do a better job getting back to the collector base for sure.
We need that base reprint set with parallels of shiny and then parallels of serialized. That's it right there. We're all in agreement. That I'm honestly torn on this because like back in my day, you could master set a set in 2 boxes, right? I mean, you'd get 12. You'd get your Machamp from the starter deck, and then you'd get 12. Maybe you'd get 10 unique with the first box because you'd get two or three of one or two of them, and then the second box, like maybe 2 boxes with maybe a trade or 2, and you'd definitely have the whole set. Maybe you get really unlucky and you have 2 non-Zard boxes in a row, and you've got to like buy the Zard, but I don't think that's like a horrible thing. It's just this weird time that we're in where everyone's ripping. Like back in our day, we used to rip by the pack, right? And now it just seems like everyone rips by the case, but by the box at a minimum, if not by the case. It's just crazy. Long term, I mean, Pokemon is not doing this willy-nilly. They're doing this for some reason. I don't know what the reason is, but I like I said earlier, I have faith that they're doing things intelligently. I don't know what the greater reason would be behind it, but I feel like there's got to be something. They're testing something out. I don't really know, but it's it's an interesting thought. Like when he says just 2 cases, think about the implications of saying just 2 cases. That's what's the retail on that? $2,000 almost? Sorry. Yeah, what is it? 160? Yeah, it's almost $2,000.
$160 per box. Yeah,
it is almost 2,000. At first, I'm like, no, that can't be right. Like market is more like 1,200, but MSRP from Pokemon Center, especially with sales tax, you'd be over $2,000. Is that really that? It almost feels reasonable. Like it's a middle ground between WotC and what Evolving Skies was. I think Evolving Skies was kind of insane for like the end consumer. I mean, think about the average consumer that might be buying a pack a week like we used to back in the day. I don't know. It again, we're the 1% of the 1% so engrossed in this. So I don't know how. I actually was just listening to some like Magic content recently, and it was really interesting to hear somebody say when you go to Pokemon or when you go to like Magic YouTube space. Oh, Magic's been dead since Magic 30th. It's not a thing anymore. Everyone hates it. It's done. And then people are like, no, I go to my LGS, I go and I play. And it's like a lot of what you hear online is not necessarily representative, especially in our little bubbles, in our little spaces of the 1% of the 1% as far as engagement goes. Maybe on average, more people like this. I mean, us YouTubers, us people that open it, 5,000 packs, 10,000 packs, 20,000 packs. Maybe it makes us sick, but maybe the average consumer overall likes it a lot better. Like that's just me thinking out loud. I genuinely don't know.
Well, and this helps out with Cabal's question earlier. He was wanting me to say something negative about the hobby.
There you go.
There you go. This is one. Hearing these pull rates, that's to me that's negative. If cards are that easy to pull, if it's that easy to put together, and that means less product needs to be opened, that can be a negative thing for sealed product and the rate at which it grows.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that one on screen. I guess Nick, he's almost asking to give like a bear case, right? Like so your bear case is that they make things too easy, the chase goes away, and then people go away because the chase goes away, essentially.
Well, not even the chase, just the rate at which they're pulled. I mean, if you can put a set together in 2 cases, well, now that YouTuber doesn't need to go through infinite cases. Like where Rattle, what was he doing? Like going through a case or a box of evolving skies every single night to pull the Moonbreon. I mean, if you don't need to go through like hundreds of boxes to pull the whole set, then it just less is gonna get opened up and more is gonna stay on the market, especially if they're keeping the print runs similar to what they did in Sword and Shield. There'll definitely be a problem there. Now, like long term, I still think eventually it'll get eaten up because people just they like to open product. It's just fun, and if boxes stay at $100, it's just such an easy. I think it's an easy price point in today's day and age. With inflation and everything, to be able to open and have fun. So I think it'll still grow, just like nowhere near the rates we saw Sword and Shield product grow, though. If it's that easy.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
I think that was actually the next question because I just about had that one queued up. So we've got that one down. I'm quite a ways behind on chat because Brad G Cards is asking, question for Dan, how much do your shoes cost? I've got some nice $30 Amazon specials. Usually, whatever the cheapest dad shoes that are comfy, I can get. I think mine are Avias. Usually New Balances, like the stereotypical dad shoe is what I run, but these are like Avias, I think they're called. Alex must be going to fetch.
Have you reached the point where you're getting the Velcro shoes yet, or are you
So,
still tying your shoes?
Me and my wife just picked these up for Collecticon.
See, I slip mine on. I don't tie them. I haven't tied my shoes in a long time. Oh man, fancy.
And then she's got the Mew.
How much were those?
Love it.
Very affordable, under $100 each.
Ooh, 100. That's a lot of
Wow.
money. My budget for shoes is like $35.
Jesus, you are cheap.
Yeah, they were really affordable. I was really surprised. I was really happy. I mean, I was happy to pay it. I think it was like 87 or 97 a pair.
And some of the people
Those are cool. I
buying
like those.
some people buying $100 slabs would be like, look at crazy Alex. He's buying $100 shoes. Like I buy perfectly good shoes for $30. What's that insane person doing? That's and then going out to dinners and going out to like someone goes to a concert and they buy the tickets to get 100 feet closer for 5 times the money. It's like I'm in the same concert hearing the same sounds. Like when I go to Rangers games, I always buy like towards the top. I pay $150 to get in the door. I've been down in the $500 seats. The view is worse. Like when you're up towards the top, you actually get more of the view that you get on TV. So it's like this is what I'm used to. I actually prefer that. Aside from the only thing is like the glass. I go to local. Well, it's been a while since kids and pandemic and stuff, but going to like a local hockey game, like the Utica Comets or the Pioneers, the college team. Being on the glass is awesome, but at a Rangers game, that would be like $1,000 or something insane. So,
Yeah, you want to be about halfway up in the right at center ice. That's the seat you want.
Yep, that's usually what I go for. I'm a value buyer in my hockey tickets, football tickets. Oh man,
I don't think that those two words go together.
we got Amplitude dropping 50. We're gonna be calling out all the lurkers now. We got 110 watching. We probably only got like 20 active in chat, so we're gonna see a bunch of lurkers getting called out now. You gotta love the gifted for that.
Certainly didn't know the old card shop was watching.
Josh,
hear a peep from
yeah,
him.
we got UAP back there, silent behind the keyboard. A lot of productivity going on. Must be. You love to see that people are being productive at least.
Yes, that's what it is.
Mr. Kite wants to know, Alex, do you do anything with singles or is it just sealed only? Singles are harder to make a throne out of, right?
Things are changing at the Nomics household here. I'm getting pretty heavy into singles now. I have multiple orders at PSA. I have orders ready. I'm continuing to source, and yeah, I'm taking the buying and selling pretty serious going into the rest of this year and into next year.
Is that primarily
Awesome.
that's primarily flipping, or is any of that like speculating investing?
I mean, yeah, I bought some slabs for speculating investing, but no, all the singles I'm buying are for buying and selling, so flipping. So that's gonna be a big chunk of the business. It was funny because I was talking to God, who it could have been Old Card Shop. I forget who, maybe a Walrus I was talking to, and they literally their mouth dropped when I told them, yeah, I haven't sold a single thing this year. I think it was like maybe in like May or June. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't sold anything. And there's how do you even be in this hobby? It's just like that's just kind of how I was. I mean, I just invested. I bought and held, and then every so often I'd sell, but it wasn't like something you always had stuff on your eBay store. It was like, okay, when I move out of an item, I sell all of that item. All the sales take place in week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Then the eBay store is empty again, and I rolled that money into a new stock. But no, I am gonna take the eBay store a lot more serious again, and I am gonna be grading, selling, flipping, and trying to take the hobby a little more serious.
He's coming on PokeFlipz. He's got to step up that flip game.
I like it. Are you going to start grinding out the 99-cent singles, or is that a couple years down the line?
Not the 99 cent, but definitely. I mean, as far as like the grading cards, I mean, yeah. So I've been hitting up TCG Player for all of the like sub $10 or $15 cards. And anything like higher, I really like to stick to eBay or stick to like, I got pick some up to Collecticon, my local card shops. I like to actually be able to see them in person or see pictures at least. I know Dan, I know you guys probably, do a lot higher volume or maybe have done better with buying the higher value, like the Celebrations Charizard and stuff. But I'm not quite there with my trust of TCG Player yet. So I'm still sticking with the lower value stuff on there.
Yep.
We got the next question from Eric Drinks Water. What is everyone's thoughts on a price floor for graded cards? There's a common thought that any PSA, CGC, BGS 9 graded card selling for under the cost of grade is a steal. You want to go first, Nick? I've been going first a bunch.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so what is thoughts on price floor for graded cards? Our common thought PSA 9 cards selling for under the cost of grading is a steal. I don't think there is. I don't think there is a floor. Honestly, I do think. I guess I kind of do think there is a floor. Like I don't think any type of like PSA nines. Talking nines and above. I really don't think there's a 9 and above that we're gonna see in a dollar bin. Will we see maybe a $5 bin? Okay, that I can believe, sure. I don't think the cost of grading is the floor price. I do think cards can and definitely have gone below that floor price of cost of grading. There's a lot of cards on eBay, the my eBay lives that I'm selling for like $10 to $15 a piece. Now, granted, they're lower grade cards. They're 7s, 8s, some 6s. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think the cost of grading is ever going to be a like floor price that cards won't go below. I think it all depends on the actual grade, what type of card you're actually grading. Is it a popular Pokemon that people actually want, or is it going to be something that you have one buyer for, and nobody else wants that card? So I guess in a way, I kind of do think there is a floor. I don't think graded cards will ever be like worthless. Especially for like 9s and above. Once you get 8s and below, then yeah, we will run into a point where some cards become worthless.
What do you think, Alex?
How about you guys?
Get away, Dan.
I've been quoted as saying that I think there will be dollar bin PSA 9s. Not only that, I think a decade from now, like looking really far out, with PSA grading 12 million slabs a year, half of which at this point almost are Pokemon. I think per gem rate data for July, I think TCG, I mean, shout out, I was mowing the lawn last night listening to the Slab podcast, and I think it was 540,000 TCG and then like 514,000 sport, something of that sort. I think non-sports gets lumped in with TCG, but the vast majority of TCG is Pokemon. So you add an extra 4 or 5 million slabs from PSA only, plus the hundreds of thousands from CGC, BGS, Ace, XYZ, ABC. I think, and maybe it won't be PSA 10s ever, but I kind of think it will be. It is for sports. I know that Pokemon aren't sports characters, blah, blah, blah. Still, though, there was a lot of dark stuff graded in 2020. I think there's some dark stuff being graded right now. I know there is because I'm grading some dark stuff, and it's still selling well. But I think, and again, I could be wrong. Like, this is my opinion. This is my guess. just be careful. The cost for grading, as far as like what it actually costs PSA to put cards in plastic, is way less than 15. They are making absurd amounts of money putting cards in plastic for 15. If and when the market ever demands the price be lower because the demand goes down at 15, PSA can cut their prices in half. I guarantee you PSA can make good money grading cards for 750. So if you're investing in cards based on a floor cost of 15 because that's what grading costs, well, what happens when grading drops 50%? CGC is doing grading right now for what, $960 if you have a membership? If you're a big submitter, same thing with PSA. Like, public rates are not private rates. There are private rates for people doing massive volumes, getting PSA at 10-20% lower, if not even lower. There are people, CGC, 10-20% lower, under the 960, if not even lower. So just be careful, because what the public rate is not the actual, like, most common rate, likely.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Alex?
Happening. Like,
oh yeah,
it's already happening, right? I mean, you can just go look, just literally type in Pokemon PSA 9, and you can go look at sold listings. I mean, there's listings that sell with shipping under $15 right now. I mean, and PSA, I mean, it's 15 plus the shipping and all that, so it's probably 16, 17. Depending on how many cards you send. Then you've got eBay fees and shipping. So realistically, you need to make $20-something a card. There's plenty of cards that aren't selling for that. I mean, and also you can see people listing their cards at $15. Go look at completed listings, not sold. And there's cards that just don't sell. People won't even pay $15 free shipping for some of the cards. They just don't sell at auction. So yeah, it's already happening in my opinion.
Yeah, if you look up like Probstein, look up ZNG Emporium, I think there are some definitely PSA 9s. Look up any high volume seller, and there will be auctions ending in the past week or two. PSA 9s, maybe even some like very ugly PSA 10s for 15 and under. Like, definitely. The way you gotta sell them.
That's fired. That's fired at James.
I mean, actually, shout out me. Shout out my own auctions. I'm paper handing the hell out of 300 and something cards. I'm paper handing the hell out of 300 and some auctions this week. I can almost guarantee I'm gonna have some PSA 9s that end under 15. So go check them out. Go make sure they don't end under 15. Make sure you use that affiliate link though.
Loving the shameless plugs there, Dan.
You got to, right? You got to.
I like the ads on top 10 Pokemon more though.
Yes.
Gotta go big. I have already had a couple people hit me up. I've already got some cards inbound from that ad. So I mean, advertising works. Some people think it's evil. I mean, I know Alex is running ads right now too. Alex is running some Kanto Shark, running some low popping market. I see.
People think ads are evil now? What is not evil in this community?
Yeah, people get really have you had any pushback? Have you had any comments or any pushback since you started running ads or no?
Not really. Like, some people have like sent me screenshots of like, what Kanto Shark or what low popping selling something for, and then they'll show me like an eBay or TCG player listing and say, are you really supporting, someone trying to hose your community? And it's like, all right, I'm sure you can find something here or there, but
and it could be a dated listing too. It could be a 6-month-old listing. The prices come down and they just haven't updated it. It's like, yeah.
I mean, if I truly thought it was a company, like, I'm not gonna like support. I've had like crypto companies reach out to me or NFTs. Like, look, if I think it's something that's not gonna be beneficial or hurt my audience, I'm not gonna put it on my channel. But no, I mean, I feel like I've talked with Kanto Shark. He seems like a good guy. Low popping. I mean, everything seems on the up and up. Like, whether you like their prices or not, they're a legitimate marketplace. They're trusted. You're gonna get authentic, legitimate items. So I feel good about it. You don't have to buy from them. It's just an option. Like, don't feel obligated. It's just an option.
Yep, I agree. Terry Lake, nice to see you in here. Curious, any of you guys been buying simplified Chinese singles? I think the only one, I'm so bad with what simplified Chinese is and what traditional Chinese is. I bought 001 SVPs. I don't know whether they're simplified or traditional. That's the only Chinese cards I've really bought in Pokemon. What about you guys?
I don't think I've ever bought a single Chinese card.
Same.
So we're not making those plays.
Nope.
I mean, here's the thing. It's just I just you only have so much time in a day, right? There's only so much you can do, and especially like when I'm still working and I'm trying to, keep the YouTube running. I'm getting into, buying and flipping and grading now. We still have a life outside of Pokemon. I know it's crazy, and so there's so much going on. Like I've talked to Retro about it. Like I just don't have time to learn the Japanese market. I also don't want to be the dumb money. I don't want to like jump into these markets not being as knowledgeable as I want to be, and things turn or me not be able to shift fast enough. I just don't want to be that person. So look, anyone in those markets making money, great. Like I'm not against any of that. That's all fine and good. It's just it's not for me right now with my time commitment.
Yeah, there's only so many plays you could be making. There's just way too much to be doing everything. Nobody can be doing everything.
Even being full time, very much agree. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mhm.
Aiden M says, question, if demand and prices were to significantly fall, would you expect the remaining people to spend more across the board to compensate for the market shrunken buyer pool? No, I wouldn't think they'd have the money to be able to do that. That's when things get really bad, right? Like in the early 2000s, that's what happened. That's what happened at like the end of the sports card thing. And I'm pretty confident, though. I've said it before. I've kind of teased about serialized cards. If and when Pokemon does shrink a bunch, I'm confident that they can pivot. They can reach into their bag of tricks. I'm confident that they can like salvage the markets and keep on keeping on. From 2003 to 2013, when almost all of us were gone, Pokemon wasn't gone. They were doing their thing, releasing 4 sets a year, releasing video games every 2 or 3 years. They lived from '03 to 13, and I think they could live through another dark decade. And I'll probably be there for the next dark decade if one ever comes again. Hopefully one doesn't. But like if one does, I think prices will take a hit. I think boxes will. I think on a long enough timeline, it's almost inevitable. Maybe not so dark, but like I think things could get fairly dark. I mean, hopefully I live another 50 years. Could there be a 5 year span in Pokemon where not one box in a 5 year span goes up above 150? I think that's like more likely than not over the next 50 years to happen once or twice or something like that. That's me personally.
What's the question? If demand and prices were significantly fall, would you expect the remaining people spend more across the board? Um, expect the remaining people spend more.
So like
It's a
if
good
eighty
question.
percent
Like everyone always says that,
like
right?
like if eighty
Oh, if
percent of
prices
people
ever get
left, yeah, could if 80% of people left, the 20% remaining would have to 5x their spending to compensate for like. I mean, my answer was no, but yeah, what do you think? Could the remaining 20% just 5x their spending out of nowhere to maintain everything?
no, absolutely not. I mean, absolutely not. It's all based on demand. It's just like, my whole like thesis or philosophy on it is I just think the way everything's set up now with the constant 24/7 in your face Pokemon content, pack openings, everyone's wanting to chase the collection. You're not able to leave. It's a lot harder to leave the hobby than it ever has been. I just don't see it falling to that price, that they're that point. But yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. Here, Dan got real about investing, and Nick talks about investing here, so I'll get real about being bearish. Of course, in the next 50 years, there definitely could be a downturn where things don't sell as fast or less liquid. I don't see it crash. Like everyone thinks everything's going to crash and go almost to zero. I don't see that, but yeah, we could definitely see that. I mean, there's no time in modern times yet, like since 2015, where boxes haven't moved in 5 years. But it's not to say it can't happen.
That's such a negative take. I can't believe you say Pokemon might go down. I mean, come on, man. We're trying to have a nice fun like a nice fun chat here, and you're bringing all this doom and gloom in here.
I was initiated into the Cabal, remember?
He has to say these things now. It's one of the core tenets of the vintage investing cabal.
Been watching too many of Dan's videos.
You don't see the person they sent to my house in the freaking sweatsuit staring at me while I'm saying these words. I'm a little scared.
Uh,
Oh man. Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. I don't think the remaining everyone says if pricing falls, if whatever card falls 90%, I'm just gonna start buying them up. I'm just gonna start buying more, doing this. Nobody's actually going to do that. People will still collect and people will still buy. Sure, they might buy a little bit more, but you're not going to have these people buying a ton more and just hoarding all this garbage. Beanie Babies, those were hot and then they died. And you didn't see people buying pallets of Beanie Babies. Same thing's going to happen with Pokemon. No, nobody's going to come in and just start buying everything up. It's going to be a very dark time.
Well, you said it's going to be. You mean it may be a very small percentage chance of that happening.
Yes, that's what I meant to say. uh,
Um, let me see. Taco says, "Isn't Sun and Moon expensive because how little was printed? I don't think the price has anything to do with the cards and the sets. Works like vintage Magic boxes IMO." I think some people lose a little bit of context on, like, the print runs are very high, historically high, 9.7 billion, big number. But a few years back, it was still like 4 billion. I mean, 9 is double 4. I mean, 9 is a double and then some 4, right? It's double 4 to 5. But it's not like print runs are 100 times higher. I think some people take it to the opposite extreme where they think that, yes, the print runs are historically high, but they're not 100 times higher. They're not 1,000 times higher. Print runs from Sun and Moon era are like 2 to 3 times higher for most sets, likely. The numbers are there. Since I believe 2015, we've had annual numbers coming in from Pokemon. I'm gonna try to pull up the PokeBeach article that shows each of the prior years. So yeah, in 2018, it was 2.1. So I guess it is 4 times. It's 4 times 20, so it's a little bit more than I thought. But 2.1 in 18. In 19, it was about 2 as well. So yeah, it's more like 4 times. Significant, but like not. And maybe I'm taking it the wrong way. Maybe there's no one thinking it's 10 times the print run. Maybe everyone knows it's 3 to 5 times somewhere in there. But yeah, it's the numbers are the numbers, and what we take from that, we all clearly take very different things from that. Are that many more being opened? Are that many more being invested in? Like that's all for us all to try and decide. And we take our guesses, we place our bets, and we see how we make out in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, and Keiko, I don't know when you got in the hobby, but I mean, I've heard some crazy stuff like emailed or Instagrammed or Discorded me, and I'm not gonna name any names, and I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad that asked these questions, but I literally had someone ask me, "Was Evolution short printed? Why is Evolution 700?" Like, I've had people talk about, Evolving Skies needs a reprint. Like, Evolving Skies had a reprints, and I think it's just when you get in the hobby, you see high prices, you think there was less printed. Like Sun and Moon coming out of XY, Sun and Moon was printed enormously more than XY sets were. It was way more. And there were people back then already saying that the gig was up. Like modern sealed investing's over. They're printing it to oblivion. You're not going to see the gains you saw in early XY or Sun and Moon. Same with Evolutions. It's never going to move. Like, and then Sword and Shield, we've been hearing the same things. Like there's always more, printing than there was the set before, it seems like. But the reason for that is there's more demand every single year. Like now it's up to Pokemon to continuously track that and try to have a pulse on the market and know where the demand's at each year and how much they can print. So we have to hope they do a good job on that, or we will see boxes stay stagnant for multiple years. But yeah, Sun and Moon, I mean, I feel like Sun and Moon was printed pretty dang heavily.
And obviously the big risk, like the very bear case for all of Sword and Shield right now would be, well, it used to be 2 billion cards a year, and now it's 10 billion cards a year. I mean, 9.7 rounded up. If all that additional 4x of demand is literally just investors, if I mean, this is an extreme example that I don't think is remotely the case. But if literally that 4x production is all sitting in warehouses being invested in, that would be like the worst doomsday scenario whatsoever. If Evolving Skies is at 400 and everyone's just dripping it out very intelligently, very smartly, I don't think that's happening, but that would be like the worst bear case. If all the additional 7-8 billion cards a year is solely being invested in, I don't think I don't have, I guess there's some data out there. You can do a little bit of, shout out Danny Phantom. He did a similar analysis that I did independently about a year prior. So I'm evil, so I put it behind a paywall. But I did an independent analysis from Danny Phantom with my own assumptions, with my own estimates. I estimated that there's approximately like 120 to 150,000 Moonbryons, some maybe 75 to 150,000 Moonbryons with my data. I think he came up with 120. So we both came up with pretty similar numbers. Given how many are graded, like at a minimum, you can figure out, well, 10% of the product must have been opened, minimum, right? Because that's how many have been graded of what were produced. But how many were graded of what was opened? Are 20% of people grading? Are 10% of people grading? You really need to take a lot of estimates, and you need to do a lot of calculating. But you could probably take like the chase card for any given era, see how many were graded, roughly extrapolate, take some assumptions on how many, what percent that were opened might have been graded. It gets really, really tough to estimate, but like, yeah, I'm, again, all things considered, I'm looking to, if you want to say invest in 20 cases of every set for the next couple sets, next few years for the 2 to 5 year time frame. I don't really call it investing. Some people do, but yeah, that's semantics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where that all goes. Like, so what you're saying is invest in Moonbryon.
Yeah.
I really don't know, man. I mean, like I said, I think we're all gonna definitely have to change our mind and get a different relationship with the pop reports. I truly, I'm not like just saying this. Like, I truly believe like between 1 and 10,000 pop reports is going to be the new norm, and I do not think it's a death sentence. I watched a sports card podcast about the same exact thing. People in that community are also worried about the pop reports, and prices are rising on those cards. You know, with 20,000 pop. I truly don't think it's a death sentence. I think there is truly enough demand in the community. I mean, how many different countries now, how many different languages? I mean, Pokemon is creating a massive brand, and it's establishing itself. I mean, this is going to be an established hobby, and especially cards like Moonbryon, and it's just like vintage, right? How I talked about, the top tier are always going to have a market. Moonbryon's always going to have a market. I mean, it's the top tier of Sword and Shield era. So, I mean, as far as people think it's going to crash down to nothing, it's not. It's not. I mean, is it now? Is it going to go to 10,000? No, probably not either. But I don't think just having a high pop, 5,000, 7,000, whatever it's at now, I don't think it's a death sentence for that card.
And I think one thing that would blow people's minds, and again, everyone can make their own estimates for what percent it is, but there are probably a higher portion of those Moonbryons purely consumed. They will never hit the market again. There are a lot of people that just bought those cards. They will keep it forever. They will die with those. Truest of true collectors. I wish I was good at like scraping data, and I wish I was good at what the people at PokeData do, what the people at TCG Fish, what the people at Pokemetrics do. I wish I knew how to do any of that, because one thing I would love to do, like Moonbryon, what are there, 7,000 PSA 10s? If you could take and track all 7,000 PSA 10s, how many of those have actually sold on eBay? How many of them have sold twice the same cert? How many of them have sold 3 times? I would be interested in seeing how many of the 7,000 have actually hit a public marketplace anywhere. And how does that compare for Moonbryon to Celebrations Charizard, to different cards? I think there would be ways to do that. I think using data on TCG Fish, using data on these different websites, you could probably come up with that. I don't know how to do it. Maybe one of those folks is listening and they can cobble something together. But yeah, that would be great. I think some people think that every single Moonbryon in existence, if and when the price were to go to 5,000, it will blow your mind. But I guarantee you, if the price of Moonbryon went to $5,000 by Christmas, I mean, it would probably come down. A lot of them would come back to market, but not all 7,000 of them would. When Pikachu and Eevee went to 1,000, not all hundreds of them came to market. A lot of those were bought by people who didn't even know it ever went to 1,000. If Moonbryon went to 10,000, maybe half the owners, maybe 80% of the owners wouldn't even know the price ever moved because they bought it when it was 500 and they are just going to own it forever. We all have our different theories on, is that 90% of the owners or is that 10% of the owners and 90% are investing, ready to sell it at a moment's notice? We'll never know. We'll never know. The best we can do is look at the data. And if someone, I wish someone will reach out to me and put something like that together, because that would be fascinating to see.
Well, and you know, Rudy's video from a long time ago when he was talking about the whole evolutions rise, it's like, you know, there doesn't always have to be a loser. Everyone thinks there's always like a winner and a loser. Like, you know, you unloaded your bags on that unsuspecting, you know, victim. It's just like with evolutions, it's like people that owned at 80s, 90s, 100s a box, when it rose to $300 a box, a lot of those people took their profits. But because there was still so much demand, it continued to go and go and go. And you could have had multiple sellers all throughout the way, all win on that. Now, obviously, in the end, there was a loser, but there doesn't always have to be, right? Like cards can actually continue to rise and then stagnate. They don't have to drop or fall off in value to where, like, technically, I guess you'd be considered a loser because it's not continuing to rise. So you're just holding something that was stagnant. But if it's in your collection, you're not losing value. So yeah, with Moonbryon, it's like you said, the market's only so there's only so many on the market, and if those start getting bought up and the prices continue to rise, you know, other people may want to buy in at those prices of fear of missing out, or you know, now they can finally afford it, then it propels it to the next stage. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of how markets work, and there isn't always someone getting taken advantage of or losing out. Nick, what do you think about all this? We're investing in Moonbryon here.
Do you want to just,
Um,
okay.
what
I was gonna say, do you want to just go to the next one, or do you want to? I don't know if you
oh yeah,
caught
we
much of
can go to
that.
the next one. I missed out on most of that.
Nick was you were grabbing
I
your
got to.
obsidian flames, right?
Yes, Obsidian Flames is here. I
There you go.
finally got my normal amount of boxes, which is nice.
Well, since you had
Living room's looking like a disaster right now.
such a long exit, you might as well start us off here. What do you think is the best time to start and end your auctions for cards on eBay to maximize the amount of people to see them?
Um, so like back in the day, there were a lot of people who said Saturday, Sunday night was the time to start the auction for a 7-day auction and end on Saturday or Sunday night. And then for a 10-day auction, started on Thursday night to have it end the following Sunday. Nowadays people are constantly on eBay. I don't think the timing and the day necessarily matter as much. Personally, I still like to stick with my Sunday night auctions, have them run for 7 days, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, ending 9 p.m. Eastern the following Sunday. That's what I do. I don't think there's necessarily like a bad time to do auctions anymore, since people are always on eBay. Obviously, I would like avoid like having an auction end like 3 a.m. on a Monday night. That's probably a bad time. Not many people are probably awake at that time. So like random obscure times like that, I would definitely avoid. But I don't think there's necessarily like a bad night that you really want to avoid. If you're gonna have it end like at a normal time that night, I would probably stick with nighttime. Given that most of your buyers are going to be in the U.S., most people work during the daytime, so to get those extra eyes, have it end at some point at nighttime. Now with eBay giving the free scheduled listings, it makes things a lot easier. You don't have to pay the 10 cents or whatever it is that you used to have to pay to actually schedule those items out anymore. How about you
Yeah,
guys?
I mean, either, you know, and also, I mean, you could look at another way too, is maybe like any night but Sunday, since everyone else is. You know, if you really wanted to get like really dive into it, well, if Z&G's ending all his, you know, thousands of auctions on Sunday, maybe I should move to Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, I agree. Pretty much any night should work. Maybe stay away from Friday night, because I've noticed Friday night can be a little lower. But yeah, I agree. Any other night, you know, just be cognizant of like the different time zones, you know, because I mean, Eastern time's gonna be like 3 hours or whatever behind Pacific time. So, you know, kind of get it in a time when everyone is kind of off work or can see it, and it's not ending at some time in the morning, 1 a.m. or something. So, I mean, that's for my, you know, limited amount. I mean, I sold a bunch back in the day, but lately I haven't sold them out. So Dan and Nick are going to be a lot more helpful on that.
Hey man, we're Pokemon people. We're free on Friday nights. End them on Friday nights. You'll get people. I've always done Sunday evenings, but I think people way overthink that. Look at like the biggest auctioners on eBay. Like I just chucked some auctions to Probstein. I chucked some to Rusty. Rusty launched some of mine Monday night. Probstein launched some Monday night, some Tuesday night. I'll make a video out of it. I'm auctioning mine on Sunday. I sent some of the same items to Rusty, to James, to Probstein, and I'm auctioning them myself. I'll compare them. It'll be like 8 data points. It will not be a lot, but I think people way overthink it, and people think it can only be Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern exactly. I don't subscribe to that. As long as you're not getting crazy, don't, like Nick said, don't do 4 a.m. on a Tuesday or something like that. Be reasonable. Do it at a relative evening time, post work time for the West and East Coast, and you're good to go. We're getting to where we're like 45 minutes behind. Things are gonna start disappearing, so I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna have to filter a couple out, maybe. So Pokemon data has one for me that I'll try to be quick with. Serious question to Dan. It is my understanding that you got back into Pokemon after college life hiatus. When you did return, was your intention to sell? I'm guessing similar to Beerstein's. My intention was to collect. I allocated $5,000 to it. I wanted to collect as much as possible. So the most efficient way for me to get as much possible was to buy more than I needed. Like I might buy a collection with 100 cards in it just to get one card in particular. And then I'd sell off the other 99. And then I quickly found out that I was able to do that, add cards to my collection for free, and make excess money along the way. So my initial goals were opening every box. I did that. I funded all that by flipping. And then it ballooned into, after the bubble, after all that 2020 stuff, I sold a ton. I went full time. And it's like, yeah, now I'm not so much Collector Boy Dan. But yeah, those were my origins. You guys want to add anything else from how and when you got back into Pokemon?
Oh, I thought you were saying how you got back into Pokemon. No. For me, it was a little bit different. It was strictly the business for the first couple of years. I found my childhood collection. At the time, I was a sophomore in high school. Cleaning up my room one day, found my childhood collection. There was some video game that I wanted to buy. My parents wouldn't buy it for me. So for whatever reason, my dad was selling on eBay back in the day, or back then with coins. So for whatever reason, I thought, hey, maybe these cards are worth something. So I asked him, hey, can you help me put this up on eBay and we can try and sell it? He said, sure. And so we listed it as a 7-day auction. I spent hours and hours and hours organizing everything as best I could, putting everything in the sleeves, putting everything in the pages. I did not know anything about these cards anymore. So I put all the hollows together, and then I sorted everything by color and made it look nice and pretty, took the pictures, wrote up this long description, got it listed on eBay as an auction. And I remember coming home from school every single day, hopping on the computer, checking out how many people had viewed it, the watchers, answering any questions. And I just fell in love with the whole or the whole selling process on eBay. So come 7 days later, collection finally sold. It was like $25 or something like that. Shipped it out to the buyer, and I really wanted to figure out something else that I could sell on eBay. And it just so happened that a couple of days after that, me and my dad went to one of his coin dealer friends with a shop, and that coin dealer friend just so happened to have a sealed 2-player starter deck display case from base set. At the time, it was like 50 or $60. So I saw that, knew that I had sold Pokemon for what I thought was good money at the time. And so I was talking to him about that, had my dad help me buy that 2-player starter deck. And I don't know anything about Pokemon at this point, so I think all the decks are going to have different cards. I open everything up, they're all the same cards. So I just kind of build small lots out of that, sell those slowly, and then it just kind of snowballed into selling those, buying another collection, selling that, buying another collection, and just kind of slowly growing over time.
We're gonna have to hit Nick with that 90-second timer again.
My story is pretty similar to Dan's. I mean, I was collector boy. No interest. Didn't even know there was investing in this stuff. Not even like Nick's story. No buying and selling. I mean, I don't know what got me into it. Maybe I saw some like cards at a garage sale. I don't know why, but I bought the original 3 sets. So base jungle fossil. And back then it was not optimized. I mean, I when I went back and looked later, I had some first editions, some shadowlesses all mixed in. I had like first edition hollows in the jungle and fossil set. People were just completing sets and throwing them. So I bought those 3 sets, and then it wasn't until like a little bit later that I guess because I bought those somehow I was on YouTube and Evolutions was recommended to me by someone, whether it be Leonhard or Unlisted Leaf or one of those guys back in the day, don't know who. But saw it and I'm like, I was hooked. You know, me and my wife, I was like, do card shops still exist? And I looked it up and found, hey, we have a card shop near our house. We went to the card shop and got our 2 Evolutions boxes. And then we started looking around and they had like base set packs and fossil and jungle still and theme decks. So I bought out, you know, I bought some theme decks and one of each artwork of the packs, and the collection was born again. I got hooked to opening Evolutions, and I just started collecting vintage sealed products, and then that turned into, you know, more and more, and eventually figured out the stuff started rising in value, and that started the investing route. But yeah, I mean, I think it just collecting got us back in.
Leaf Green Goblin wants to know, why is modern versus vintage so polarizing? I see Moonbryon going up over time because it defines a big era, but I don't think that means Gold Stars and WotC will tank. Do people just think that's fence sitting? I think a lot of people, honestly, the quietest people are just, they do a little bit of everything. They do their own thing. They sit in the middle somewhere. They don't care. They're not as engrossed as us. In the YouTube space, the loudest personalities tend to be the most polar ones. I mean, I don't want to get political. I don't want to get, but think of how many other analogies there are in like real life, in the real world. The extremes are what get the views and the clicks and all that stuff, and negativity, positivity, like extremes just drum up clicks and all that emotion and stuff. So that's why that goes on. And yeah, if you say could go up, could go down, that's deemed fence sitting, when in reality it is reality. Like, none of us really know ultimately where all these things will be. And same thing with all the commentary around the stock market, all these different shows, all these different articles, all these different things on every individual stock. Experts left and right, half saying up, half saying down, half saying left and right. What do you guys think?
And stop it. You know good and well that there's the reason for, I'll tell everyone the real reason why there's debate, and I want it to die. I hope it dies. You know, that I hope everything just can be collected equally. But and I know you stand up for E4 a lot, but E4 was the worst about it. Basically, you were like seen as like better in the hobby based on what you owned. And the people who own the high-end vintage or the high-end trophies or high-end cards, they looked down on the people who collected modern as like, oh, they're base level collectors. They're new. They'll learn. Once they get in the hobby further, then they'll move back to the real stuff.
As much of that goes on the other way though too. Like, oh, you got ugly half art cards. Like there are definitely a lot of just diehard people on either side. And I think painting an entire website, an entire forum with such a broad brush, maybe there were minor instances. I mean, yeah, we can go as deep into this as you want to go, but I think that's really like over.
That's the reason for it. Like, no, I'm completely for like squashing it all, but it's like, even when I got back in, right? Like, I was laughed at for modern, or like, you know, oh, he just doesn't understand the hobby deep enough, and doesn't understand pop reports. No, it's just like, there was definitely, we're not gonna use the term cabal. Like, there's a group of people that legitimately like see your standing or your worth in the hobby based off what you own or what you know about the niches, and that was a very real thing. You can't deny that was a part of the hobby for a while.
I mean, I'm in some discords right now
it was, Alex, especially on E4. For a while, modern collectors did not get any respect on E4.
I think that's way over. Like, I don't know. I was on the same forum. I posted many thousands of posts, and I was doing Phantom Forces. I was doing modern print runs. I was doing like analysis on modern stuff, and I never felt remotely that way. But I guess your experience is your experience. I will say I'm in some discords right now where you are judged solely by the amount of Chilling Reign cases you own, and owning so few, I feel very cast aside, and I feel very shamed for owning so few investments in Chilling Reign.
Hey, hold on. Before I will let Nick speak in a second, but so back when you were on E4, did you like speak out like in favor of modern investing or like investing in modern cards or boxes over vintage and like that? Because if you said anything like that, I promise you would have got taken down in there.
I was collector boy. Like, I was having fun collecting it. I was documenting my journey of opening every box, mid-era, vintage, and ultra modern. Like, I was doing everything.
Okay, I promise you, if you would have been in favor of modern over vintage in any circumstance, it would have not been the same treatment.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know your experiences, and yeah, whatever. What do you think, Nick?
Well, here, Nick even knows he saw it. Other people saw it. Dan, come on, you can say
Dan
one
likes
negative
to
thing.
sit right on the fence. He doesn't like to upset anyone. No, I do agree with the like investing, wanting to buy modern over vintage. There was definitely a time, not so much nowadays, but there was definitely a time where it was not good for modern people. But I do agree with Dan for this question that the whole vintage versus modern debate, people just like to stir up drama. People like to watch those drama videos. Nobody likes to watch like a level-headed person talk about how they're both good. People like that drama, and those are the videos that get clicks. People know those are the videos that get clicks, so they make those types of videos, and that's why you're seeing it. I don't think it's as big of a debate as what we see on YouTube and Instagram and all of that stuff. I think there's a lot more people who are fine with both and like both of them than what we actually see.
I agree now. Like I think it's died down. I think we've reached a point where modern's accepted part of the community now, and you're not just like a base level new collector who doesn't understand, the nuances of the hobby now. It's definitely basically gone now, but I think a year, 2 years ago was pretty strong.
Here's the next question from Pokemon Wonder. I will do a little bit of a Pokemon Wonder / personal plug. I'll be on his channel live tonight, 9 p.m. So go check that out. I'll link that later on my Instagram and YouTube. I haven't done it yet, but I will do it later. Any perspective / experience on Ace Grading Company? Saw PokeClothes drop on the tour, and many interesting behind the scenes points. I've owned a few. I actually bought a collection that had a lot of PSA, BGS, CGC. The slab is fine. I mean, it's not my favorite slab, not my favorite label. Both those go to CGC. Alex might have some commentary on that. I know he's a big red label guy. But I genuinely think it was funny to watch PokeClothes' video, because at the end, she had actually cracked out like a BGS. She cracked out a CGC. I think, like PSA, Ace is very harsh on surface imperfections. I think Ace grades very similarly to PSA. If anything, maybe a little bit harsher. I've not dug too deeply into the data, but I think she had a CGC 9 or a CGC 9 that went to an Ace 7. She had a BGS 8.5 that went to like an Ace 6, I think. And then she had a PSA 6 that went to an Ace 7 maybe. And a PSA 9 that went to an Ace 8, something along those lines. She did a bunch of chances. I actually watched that video this morning. But it was cool. It was cool to see their encapsulation room. It was cool to see their clean room where they do the encapsulation, talking about trying to keep hairs out and mayonnaise out, things like that we see it at grading companies from time to time. But yeah, I think if you're investing, if you're speculating in long-term value, the ideal case you want to have it in at this point is the red one primarily. CGC and BGS hold their own on certain little niches here and there, but primarily it's PSA. That said, if you're buying already graded, so if you're grading from raw, grade with the red. If you're buying already graded though, I mean, if it's the best one to grade with to sell, that means that it's probably not the best one to buy already graded, right? There's probably more plays just buying the raw or buying and crossing. Like if PSAs, you can't really make the logical argument that PSA is earning the best premiums upon sale, and it's also the best one to buy in all instances, right? Like you can't argue that it's both the best premium on the sell side, but then it's also reasonable to buy on the buy side. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't have any experience with Ace. I think I think I think they could do decently well, being that they're more of a international grading company. Obviously, it's tough to send, like, for European people to send cards into PSA, CGC, BGS, where all those companies are in the US. So they kind of have an advantage, being that they're really the first big grading company being international. But I think that will help them. But at the same time, I still think, like, isn't like the three big grading companies enough? Do we really need another or so many more grading companies? Can a fourth grading company come in and take any sort of like relevant market share? I don't know about that, especially now where CGC has an office in the UK, I believe, and PSA is talking about moving over somewhere in Europe now. I don't think Ace will ever like take off to like a BGS or a CGC level. Um, I can't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, what's the discussion here? I mean, Dan talked about it earlier. He likes to go to Rangers games. He likes to go to minor league games. He likes to go to college games. And so, I mean, yeah, go have fun and go to any game you want. Go buy anything. But I mean, if I'm gonna like go to something seriously or invest in like a seats, I mean, I'm gonna buy them at the Rangers. So I mean, same with PSA. You guys want to have fun and buy different slabs from different companies and just have the card. And but if you're serious, I mean, I gotta stick with PSA all the way.
Think a lot of that goes back to the first question of what was the word you used? Rational. I don't think it's irrational to buy Ace. I don't think it's irrational to grade with Ace, but know what you're getting. Like just be conscious of what you're getting. Like when we talked about the Black Label 001 SVP. If you buy it thinking it's gonna be worth a PSA premium as of today, if you think you're gonna grade with Ace, grade with CGC, and get that exact PSA price, like you're not. It's a different product. So just be rational, know what you're getting, and then you'll be fine. Eric Drinks Water says many people just don't buy / rip at all anymore because the full set is just not reasonable. Many have been kind of forced into becoming species or promo collectors. Any thoughts? I had been up until like a year or so ago keeping like a complete set of personally pulled cards. I had to raid my binders so many times to pull out gradable copies. I'm done with binders even. I'm honestly like the furthest from collector boy Dan I've ever been. I can't keep up. Like all these sets, all these cards, all this money in binders, I can't justify it. I can't justify the time it takes and the money it takes. So yeah, like moving ahead, I'm going to keep the odd card I pull here and there personally. I'm going to grade a couple cards. Like I've got my PSA 10 Dan. I've got couple MetaZoo meme cards here and there I've been adding to the collection. But to me, it's crazy. Like talking about, oh, it's easy to pull a complete master set. It only costs $2,000 now. It's like it's all absurd to me. It's all insane. That's 4 times a year, 5-6 times a year with holiday sets. So I'm priced out. What about you guys?
I'm fine with just having a sealed box of every set. I mean, that's enough collection for me. If there's cards that are cheap and or they're affordable and then I can put away and just have something to display on my shelf or like my Game Boy games, which are not sealed, they're just complete in box. Like if I can just have something that's a nice display and it's crazy, compared to whatever income level you're at, it isn't crazy compared to the amount of income you make. I mean, I'm cool with it, but yeah, I agree. I'm not spending $1,200, 3, 4, 5 times a year for a collection.
Agree with part of it. Like ripping, buying singles, for full sets. I don't think many people are I don't think many people are putting full sets together anymore. But like buying ripping packs in general, I think a lot of people are doing that.
Um, I just got to the point where Amplitude gifted 50 subs, so I'm a ways back, and it's a lot of stuff to go through for the
Man.
next question.
Do either of you guys keep up with like graded like or not graded, like selling values of graded sets? Like, are there good sales there? Is there good value in completing sets or anything? I don't know.
I think the parts are always better than like the whole is less than the sum of all the parts. I think when people try to lot things together to sell like an entire shiny vault set PSA 10, it goes for less than just selling them individually. Obviously, it's less work, so maybe even if you're getting less, it's worthwhile because you're saving $5 shipping each card or whatever, and you're doing it for like $30 for the whole set or something. But I don't track those whatsoever. The only things I track the prices of are what I have in inventory.
Yeah, I've always been one to sell the singles over the complete sets. Especially like release weekend. Pricing is just so high. I like to get rid of as much as possible. Whereas like the complete sets, they're usually like $800 to $1,200 for the newest master set. Somewhere in that range. And I think you can get more for the single cards, especially if you're quick at release weekend and you sell them off then.
Here's
Yeah,
one.
I still think to this day it's very strange how there's no premium put on like putting a set together. Like even with like PSA, like there's no premium to put together an entire set PSA graded. It seems like it's just I don't know. It just seems like there should be, but yeah, the market just doesn't value it that way, and that's the way
It's
it
like
is.
it's like a funnel. You severely instead of selling to the top of the funnel by selling an individual card where you can hit the species collector, you can hit the lower budget collector. When you sell a complete set, you're hitting the bottom of the funnel. They need to have the money all at once. They need every card all at once. They need to want every card all at once. So say you're selling a complete shiny vault from Hidden Fates. If someone already has half the shiny vault, they're not your buyer because they don't want to sell all the duplicates. If someone wants only the Mewtwo, they're not your buyer because they only want the one. If someone wants only the Gen 1 Hidden Fates shiny vault, they're not your buyer because half the ones you got they don't want. That's why I think it doesn't go for a premium. Because you're just having to find the perfect buyer that's an intersection of like 5 different things.
Point.
Most times your buyer is going to be a reseller when you're selling something too big like that. So here's one from Reforge99. Alex, you can go first because I've been going first most and let Nick go first some. I think you're doing this a little bit now, as you said too. Thoughts on sourcing cards from TCG Player and grading those?
Yeah, so I think it definitely depends. If you're like trying to get like hollow promos, like regular, not full art, it's just like the regular square box hollow promos. It doesn't matter what era either. XY is gonna be harder, but even Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, definitely harder. I mean, it's very hard to find a near mint TCG Player seller. It's gonna sell you them with absolutely back looking good and absolutely no scratches or anything on the hollow. Very much harder to find those. However, full art cards and things like that, the textured cards, you have a lot. I mean, what Dan says about the celebration Charizard and thing, you do have a lot better luck with those. I mean, I think I ordered this last time throughout all the people I bought from, it was like 240 something cards, and came out with like 60-ish graded. And so about a fourth, but again, it was mixture. There was a lot of like regular like hollow promos from the eras, but then there was also, full art textured cards as well, or alt arts, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think, you're definitely gonna be better off sticking with the sticking with the cards that are less likely to have front damage, because all the textured cards never have front damage. And you should be all right. And then obviously, it's just like a learning game I'm going through right now, learning which sellers to buy from, which not to. But yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest, there's still opportunity out there in TCG Player.
What do you think, Nick?
I probably should give it another shot. I tried it once. I ordered like 40, 50 cards, and I didn't think any of them would get a PSA 10. So I did that, and I never tried it again. I should give it another shot, see how it goes. Especially now with these eBay lives where I'm able to sell those singles, even maybe break even, make a little bit on them. I probably should give it another shot. I just haven't since that first time.
Yeah, Nick pre-grades like he's trying to grade a black label, thinking PSA 10 is like difficult to get. I don't know what Nick's doing over there, but the newer the card is,
too. Maybe I'm just too tough.
The main components of the quality of card you will get, if you're buying a card, like Nick is saying, Obsidian Flame is tough print quality. Scarlet and Violet was tough print quality. If you look at the chase cards from the set and they're grading 20, 30, 40%, and you're hearing that they're like, if you're in Discords, if you're on YouTube streams, and Nick says that he pulls 40 Ionos or something, or 40, whatever it may be, and he's only grading 10 of them, and then of those 10, he gets a 30% 10 rate, you're probably going to have a hard time buying that on TCG Player as near mint and getting a 10. But when you're talking Celebrations Charizard, when you're talking sealed Japanese promos with 95% 10 rates, the main factors for how likely you are to get a 10 are, one, is your seller someone who grades and sells 10s themselves? Because if you buy from me on TCG Player, you're not getting a 10. I'm pre-grading those. I'm grading those myself. So look at the seller you're buying from. Make sure they don't sell graded cards themselves. And if the card is just inherently a poorly produced card, like Alex said, a mid-era XY or Diamond and Pearl or like Heart Gold Soul Silver blister promo, good freaking luck. I mean, the PSA 10 rate is going to be like 10%. And those cards are so old, they've probably been in and out of 50 binders by now. So the newer it is, and the higher production quality is, the more likely you'll get a 10. Fairly common sense things, I think, once you actually, and then try it a few times. I mean, try it a few times, see how it goes. I think there's ways to increase your odds, but you've got to do a little bit of testing.
I have to jump in like how Dan does with his bearish points. I have to jump in with the negatives.
There we go.
Make sure you're doing this, like you want to do this as like a second business, or you want to get full time or whatever. Make sure you have the time commitment, because yes, you're gonna have a lot of cards that aren't gradable. You are gonna have to list them. You're gonna have to flip them back onto the market, and even if you can break even or even just lose a couple bucks, and you're gonna make a lot more on the ones that actually grade. And then some of them are gonna come back as 9s. And you're gonna have to flip those for basically no profit. I mean, there's money to be made, but make no mistake, there is work, there is risk. Like, I just always like to make that clear too, because this is not sealed product investing. This is a lot more in depth.
Nico,
Yeah, you got to deal with people making your $5 card bulletproof with a roll of tape and spending a half hour unpackaging that card.
that my least favorite part is not like finding cards to buy in bulk. It's literally unpackaging 50 to 100 of a single card. It is miserable because the way that some of these people pack, it's like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Oh, that's the worst part. But Nico, kind of on a similar point, new flipper here, about to submit my first batch of cards to PSA. Are they usually more harsh on centering or white spots? Have a couple of cards with very minor white spots, 1 or 2 spots on the back. I mean, look at cards on PSA. Look at cards on, you can pull up the scans on PSA. You can pull up high-res photos. There are hundreds of thousands of PSA graded cards on eBay. Look at a bunch of scans. Look at a bunch of photos. Pay close attention. Like, take notes. Take notes on your first submission, how many white dots, what the centering is. 60-40, they say. Sometimes they go worse than that. Sometimes cards that are not quite 60-40 get 9s and they seem good otherwise. There's going to be a little bit of variance. There's going to be a little bit of plus or minus in it all. But the more issues you see, the more issues they'll see, and the less likely you'll get the 10. Everything that you see and some of the things that you don't see is a subtraction. And sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes they miss some subtractions, but it's quite obvious. 2 spots is worse than 1. 1 spot is worse than 0 spots. Better centering is better. I mean, the closer to perfect a card is, the more likely you'll get a 10. But it does not have to be perfect to get a 10. That is very important to note. It does not have to be perfect. A 10 is not perfect. A black label is not perfect. On average, a black label is better than a 10, but there are some 10s that are better than some black labels. There are some 8s that are better than some black labels. That's what grading is.
And you need to make a video of this, because I know you gave Nick some trouble. Ray was giving me some trouble at Collecticon for me being too harsh on grading. And so what you should do, you should make a whole submission of the ones that you think aren't quite, they're like on the borderline, and how many of those actually get 10s, and if it was really worth to pay the grading fees and do all that instead of just flip them back onto the market as raw again. I'd love to see that, like how many of the second tier cards that like aren't quite good enough, how many of those actually do get 10s?
It's so anecdotal though.
That would actually be fun.
It's not good data though. Like it's one video, you can get a grader on a bad day and none of them can get 10s, and then on a good day they can all get 10s. So it's like, that's why I mean, if you do that 10 times across 10 submissions with 10 cards each, it's a better sample size. But I always submit cards that I'm quite confident will get 9s. Sometimes they get 8s, sometimes they get 10s. It all depends on how punishing the 9 is. And oftentimes, like right now, Celebration Charizards are 80 to 90 bucks on TCG Player. I'm selling my 9s for 108 shipped. That's not very punishing. I'm losing maybe $5. So if the loss is minus $5 and the win is plus $100, and I think a card is 50-50, that's a plus EV gamble. Honestly, if the loss is minus, if you could go to a blackjack table and you could bet $5 to win 100, would you sit down and play? You would play all day long, as big a bets as they take. I mean, so it's all about, literally, it's just math. Literally, it's just math. If you think a card has a 10% shot at getting a 10, theoretically, if you're actually right 10% of the time, it's plus EV. I mean, do the math. That's literally all it is math.
Can't argue with that.
Lot of commentary here. Not many questions. I'm looking for the next one.
It's pretty crazy the disparity between TCG Player and eBay these days, though. Like with singles, with boxes. I mean, you can still find like Evolving Skies boxes. It was talked about in the Discord yesterday, like in the low 400s on eBay, even less on Facebook groups, Discord groups. But then on TCG Player, there's literally like 6 boxes that are away from $500 a box. Like that's all that's left. They're going for like 450s, 460s. Or same thing with like cards. I mean, there's talking about like getting rid of your cards that aren't gradable. Like some of the cards I bought were like on eBay for, I bought in bulk for like, $18 or $19. I could sell the same card on TCG Player, which I already have a couple, for like $25 or $30. So it's very strange the amount of disparity between the two markets. You have people get caught up in their preferred retailer and they just don't shop around.
Nope.
Yeah,
there is if you had the time, there is definitely arbitrage. Buying off of eBay, selling on TCG Player, or buying off TCG Player, selling off eBay. That is 100% a thing.
One interesting difference between TCG Player and eBay is that eBay, every listing is independent and every listing needs to be found independently. Whereas like Amazon, like Troll and Toad and TCG Player are more like an Amazon, where a certain card will have a listing page, and the way that it works is the lowest price gets the buy box, just like on Amazon. I think with Troll and Toad, they get the buy box if they have it in stock. With Amazon, they give the buy box preferentially to their own self-fulfilled Prime eligible listings. Oftentimes, if you're buying something for $39.99 shipped on Prime, someone else has it cheaper, just slower shipping. So it is a really interesting difference when you have a platform that just lumps everything together, sorts them by low to high, and then on eBay, you'll constantly find that the average consumer takes what eBay gives them, best match. They do not sort. Like, we are the 1% of the 1% in engagement. We are the 1% of the 1% getting into the weeds, getting into the nitty gritty. People do not search for what they're after and sort low to high. We do, but the average consumer does not. Like, I constantly sell cards for like Celebration Charizard. I'm selling them 240, 250, sometimes 210, sometimes 220. I do buy it nows all over the place. Some with ads, some without ads, and they all sell. I'll sell my 250 before I'll sell my 210 sometimes. I'll sell my 230 before my 220 sells. It's crazy. That's just how it is. Same thing to be said for like a grocery store. They have, I mean, you can buy a 2 liter of Coca-Cola in the back for $1.49 or whatever, $1.99, and then you can buy a 20 ounce at the front for $2.49, and they sell way more 20 ounces at the front than they sell for 2 liters. Is that irrational? Not if people know what they're getting, right? It goes back to that. We're looping back to the same talking point from the beginning.
Well, hold on. That's not a great one because the 20 ounces are cold.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
You bring up a good point there.
See, what you got to do is you got to go the day before. You got to just take some 2 liters and bring them back to the milk section. Just throw them in the back. Back in
in the milk section, I love it.
Back in high school, I used to we had like the town I lived in. We had a little like grocery store, and I knew a bunch of the guys that worked there. And yeah, they'd just have certain things that weren't typically refrigerated. They just have them in the refrigerated section so that you could always have like you could have your cold 2 liter. Just text your buddy, and then a couple hours later when you went shopping, you'd have your cold 2 liter. You'd be ready to go. Oh. Let's see. Question for old school. Here we go. Here's a spicy one from Josh. Question for old school. You have to pick one. Who stops making YouTube content first and why? Out of Alex and Dan. So not like you can force one of us. I think the way I'm understanding this, not like you can force one of us to stop. Who would you force to stop? Who do you think will just quit YouTube first? I think maybe you could answer it both ways if you wanted. That's the way that I take it, though. Like, who do you think will quit first? Who do you think will be done with YouTube first?
Come on, Nick. I can take it. It's okay.
That's a tough one. I don't know. Both of you. I can't see either of you stopping YouTube. You're both consistent with your videos.
Dude,
I think Alex puts a little bit more not to say you wing it, Dan, but I think Alex puts a little more research into his videos before he makes them. But then at the same time, you've been super consistent since you started. So I honestly have no idea.
Dan's got me beat on consistency. Sure, I've definitely went through multiple times time periods where I wasn't posting. He's got me beat.
That is true. He does have you beat on consistency.
I was wondering which way you'd take it. I was figuring you were going to say, well, Alex's modern investments are going to pan out, and he's going to be on a beach sipping Mai Tais. So he's going to quit first because he's going to hit retirement first. That's the way I thought you'd go with it.
Oh, gee.
That was a good one, though. Now here's the other one. If you could force one of us to stop, which one of us needs to stop first? Whose channel would you delete first?
Yours, Dan. That part's the easy one. And the reason why I say that is because of all your celebration Charizard plays and
there we go.
Giving everyone their plays.
Nick's hating on the RuneScape.
Easy it is to grade cards and make money, and everyone should be doing this.
Nick's
Whereas
hating on
Alex, you talk about investing in sealed modern, which that's already more widely known, I guess.
Hey, Nick's just selling more sealed modern. Grading. Nick's just selling sealed modern, so he likes Alex's channel. Don't lie, Nick. We know.
I discourage grading. It's better for you guys. I talk about how much time and risk it takes.
See, I would delete my own channel too.
I like you.
If I had to choose, I would delete my own channel too.
Petition to cancel Dan.
I'm selling my allocations to all Alex's investors. So we need Alex's channel more. I mean, we need it.
Investors. It sounds like you got more than any of my investors, right?
Nice question, Josh. Brought some fun commentary. Here we go. Here's another good one. How far out in the future do you think Pokemon will start releasing serialized cards? I'm gonna say by 2030, 7 years, there will be a serialized Pokemon card. I don't think it will be within a main set. I think it will be like a Topps Chrome type, Techno Chrome, parallel, collector only product. Not like how Magic does collector's boosters. They do the standard ones, they do the draft, I don't even understand all the different levels, but I think they'll release a different product entirely, and I think it'll happen by 2030. Complete guess, obviously.
If that happens, it's going to outpace like almost all the vintage cards.
Oh, a 1 of 100 Charizard would outsell.
Yeah, I think so.
A 1 of 10 Charizard.
If you pull up the top 10, any sports card list, like football, baseball, hockey, basketball. Other than baseball's hanging on pretty well. All the other ones, the modern cards are top in the top 10 list on sales.
Done correctly, a 1/1 Charizard would outsell Logan Paul's Illustrator if it was done correctly. And if they guaranteed they would never do another 1/1 Charizard the same way again, it would be insane. It would be really, really silly, I think. But I think it would outpace the One Ring. I think it would outpace the Illustrator even if it was done perfectly, executed perfectly. So what's the date? Hit us with a date, either never or like an actual year. When is that first serialized card?
I'm not even as bullish as Dan is on it. I mean, Illustrator maybe pushing it. I mean, it'll definitely go for more than the first edition base set Charizard. But here, and I'm telling you, the more the sports card hobby trickles to Pokemon, the more, with what's going on with Fanatics and everything, I wouldn't be surprised if Pokemon gets on that bandwagon in the next, I'll say 2020, 2025.
Wow, that's early.
Man, you guys
early. I like it.
Gloom over there for the Pokemon hobby.
No, that's good. We like it.
You think that's bad?
I think like serialized cards is something to like rejuvenate interest in the hobby. I think that's like very, very deep in Pokemon's pockets. It's like a last resort thing to bring back interest in the hobby. So yeah, I don't see it happening for a long time. We got the 30th anniversary coming up in 2027. That'll propel interest for a couple more years. 35th anniversary nobody really cares about, so maybe around that time frame, like 2020. What would that be, like 2031? Right? Yeah, somewhere around there. Maybe 2031, 2032. We'll go with those 2 years.
Maybe you guys are right now. That's something I didn't think about. Is like if Pokemon sees it as a way that like it's something they need to do, like because the popularity isn't there. That's interesting to think about. Like I just see it as kind of like just the next step, the next obvious evolution. But yeah, maybe they will hold off until they feel like it's necessary. Point.
I just don't think Pokemon really wants to do serialized. They don't want to make something exclusive. We've never had an exclusive product. Pokemon's for the players. They want the cards to be available to people. So I 100% agree with Dan. That's going to be some type of like a Topps Chrome release, or like we had back in the day. It's not going to be a standard set release with the serialized cards. But even at that point, I don't think Pokemon wants an exclusive product. So I think it would be kind of like a last resort type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like a don't rock the boat situation. Like CGC, we've had a couple people talk in the comments about CGC and PSA and things like that. CGC shook things up because things were dwindling for them. Like demand was going down, turnaround times were getting insanely low. They shook things up, and preliminary data, they've received like 4 times the amount of cards in the past 4 weeks that they had the 4 weeks prior. So clearly, preliminary data. I mean, we'll have to wait 6 months, a year, but preliminary data, it's looking good. How many of that is recasing, just getting the 9.5 to the 10, blah, blah. But I don't think Pokemon, like PSA is not going to come out with a PSA 11. They're not going to come out with a pristine 10 while they're dominating so much. Pokemon is not going to come out with serialized while they're dominating so much. But if and when we start looking 2003-ish, if and when we start having dark days, I think that they can, that's part of the reason why I'm pretty bullish, because I think they can light a fire under the market at any time with these things they have in their back pocket, from watching Lord of the Rings, from watching sports, watching all these things. There are pros and cons to everything. It's not just straight rocket fuel with no negatives. There are risks in, but they're watching what happened with Magic 30th, what happened, like Magic 30th versus Lord of the Rings. Pokemon learns a lot from watching that. A lot of people learn a lot from watching that, from the outside looking in, and Pokemon is paying attention to how all that works. So yeah, very, very interesting.
Well, and dive in further though, like that might be like, that's a good take for the 1/1, but like what about just regular serialized, like 1 out of 100, out of 100, out of 1,000? Like, do you think those will be in sets?
I think they'll go there first. I don't think they'll go straight to a 1/1 Charizard. I think the first thing you'd see is like going back to my reprint base set with shiny parallels and then with serialized. I think it would be like 1 of 100, 1 of 1,000. I don't think you'd see them go straight to 1/1. I think Magic didn't either. I think Magic did a handful of sets with one out of I forget how many it was, but one out of hundreds or low thousands, and one of one would be like a truly special thing that they would only. I think they would use those as like a limited use case, not jump straight to what sports is doing, where each new rookie has hundreds of different one of ones or something like that. So here's something that tied in a little bit. Card Palace says, anyone got a PSA submission out? My bulk value orders are taking forever. One like bullish indicator for the hobby. Right now, BGS is taking a long time at 16 a card. PSA is taking a long time at 15 a card. CGC, a few weeks ago, a month or two ago, they were taking 5 days. Now they're taking a few weeks. Like, demand for these slabs. I mean, CGC did drastically slash their pricing. But demand for plastic is high. Demand for product is high. A lot of it's being ripped. Like, in spite of all the bearish vibes I give off that make people nervous or whatever, I'm like, we're in a boom. We're in a boom right now. Like, Pokemon is killing it, absolutely killing it. 9.7 billion cards printed, and people are like, some people are semi panicking because boxes are like 95, 99 on TCG Player. We're booming right now. We're booming.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many clips I'm getting from this.
I want to see it before.
It's refreshing to hear Dan's positivity. I like this.
If people ask me the right questions, I will give you my honest answer at all times. Like, if I'm left to speak freely on my own, maybe I get too negative, and I just need the right prompts to steer me the right direction. Steer me towards the light, people. If you steer me towards the red lights,
steer me towards the light.
I will go red light if you steer me towards red light. But I will also go towards like rainbows and butterflies if you steer me towards rainbows and butterflies. I just need the prompts. I need the prompts. I need to be reined in.
I do think getting back to the question, I do think PSA they have gotten longer in their turnaround times for bulk submissions. Like, there was a point, I don't know the time frames, like earlier this year, where it was like 2.5, 3 months I would get submissions back. Now it's like 3.5 months is kind of the turnaround times that I'm seeing. So I have noticed it has increased, and the numbers that we're getting from PSA, 1 million cards a month. Back beginning of the year, end of last year, those numbers were like increasing every month. You'd go like 900,000 cards this month, 1 million cards this month. And once they hit 1 million cards, it kind of like stopped. Now it's like just under 1 million, just under 1 million, just under 1 million. So it doesn't seem like they're looking to expand any further. Which who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but it seems like they're happy with the way things are right now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I guess on the serialized topic, because we were just right there, Oregon says extremely low chance that Pokemon TCG becomes serialized, but if it does, what are your takes on how it will impact the hobby? Nick, you want to go first here?
I think it'll be have a dramatic effect on the hobby. I think it'll bring a lot of interest. That's kind of why I think it's going to be like Pokemon's last resort. I think it's going to be similar to Magic. When everyone was talking so negatively about Magic, nobody was buying Magic anymore. They come out with the Lord of the Rings 1 of 1, and all of a sudden Magic is everywhere. You're hearing like news, like actual news stories talking about this 1 of 1 Magic card. People are getting back into Magic. People are more excited about it now. I think it'll definitely have a drastic effect on the hobby. It'll definitely bring more people into the hobby. I don't think it will be like 2020 level, but I think it'll be similar to 2020, where you have more and more people talking about Pokemon. And believe it or not, there's probably still people out there who completely missed 2020, and they'll refine their childhood collections with this new 1 of 1 card. Whenever that does happen. So I do think it's going to have a huge effect on the hobby, and it'll bring more people in. We'll see like a resurgence. So That's kind of why I think it's going to be like Pokemon's last ditch effort to kind of save the brand, if you will. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing is, like, if you're paying attention to the size, pull up a chart on TCG Player. Magic the Gathering collector boxes of Lord of the Rings, it didn't crash. It downturned, but everyone thought it was going to just crash into oblivion. They're still going for $400. Like, it's a $400 box. So if Pokemon does that, it's going to be great for sealed product as long as they do what Magic did and there's other serialized cards or other, it can't just be a one of one. If there's one of 1,000, there's a very good possibility that all of those cards will never be found because there'll be a good amount of them still in sealed product somewhere. So there'll always be that chase. Like, well, hey, there's still 160 of the one of 1,000 out there. You could pull it, and it'll give the booster boxes a lot more value than we're now. I think a lot faster. So I think that's a positive.
One positive I want to add too for like data guys like me, I think it would be amazing to have a 1 of 100 or a 1 of 1,000. Because even though we're not going to publicly hear about every single one, kid's going to pull one in a Walmart and put it in his pocket and it's going to get destroyed. But a lot of them will be pulled on streaming channels. A lot of them will be able to be compiled. There are actually some MetaZoo websites that publicly compile all the known serialized cards. If and when we have a 1 of 100 Charizard and we see that 40 were pulled, when you start talking millions of boxes, and you have 1 of 100 evenly dispersed through them, going to be minor issues with clumping, probably things that go on just like they go on in MetaZoo and other things. But assume uniform distribution. If you have 1 million boxes with 1 of 100s, there's one per every 10,000 booster boxes. If you have 40 publicly showing, you can be confident more than half that product was opened. That would be one of our best barometers we've ever had in the history of Pokemon for getting a sense on how much product was opened. I would love it from a pure data standpoint of like I'm sure like how devoted we have people in the hobby. I guarantee you someone would create an Instagram account for tracking which out of the 100 Charizards have been publicly pulled, and they'd have them timestamped to the video in the PokeRev stream and the eBay live that Nick pulled one in and vice, like all that. So if after 2 years we only saw 5 out of the 100 Charizards were pulled, I would worry a little bit that a lot of people were investing in that product. But if after 2 years we saw that 60 of the Charizards were pulled, I'd be pretty confident most of this product is getting opened immediately, and I would feel a lot better about like longer term holding stuff. It would be a really cool barometer, honestly.
I didn't even think of it like that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, last I looked, and I think it's falling off a little bit, the tracking of it, but I think like almost 30 of the Green Man from Wilderness has been pulled in MetaZoo. So 30 have been pulled and documented. Do you think half of them would be documented? 100. Okay. So 30%. Look, we don't know 100% because it's gonna vary a little bit, but 100 were printed, 100,000 boxes were made. So out of every 1,000 boxes opened, one of those should be pulled. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be as close as we can get. We know, air quotes, no, heavy air quotes, we know 30,000 boxes of Wilderness were opened. Every one that was pulled and not disclosed publicly, some people open it and they don't even know what they have. And the number might not be 30. That's my guess. I don't remember exactly, but it's a cool way to get some kind of an indicator. Like, do you think maybe half of them would be publicly known and shown? Do you think maybe 70% of them would be publicly known and shown? You have to take some assumptions. You have to make some minor adjustments, but it's a better barometer than we have currently because we literally have no barometer for Evolving Skies. If they put a 1 of 100 Moonbreon in Evolving Skies, we would have a much better barometer for how much was opened because right now we have none, almost none. Just a cool angle that I've not really heard discussed, but it's something that I've thought about, and it would be really cool. Here we go. The Pull Father. It only takes one. We'll let Alex start here because I know he has a box somewhere filled with these things. Question for the Knights at the Round Table: are you forecasting an increase in vintage WotC 9s? You can buy a Holo First Edition for $200 to $400 for a very clean copy these days. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Clip it. Clip it.
Man, wasn't expecting that.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
I think honestly, like going back to like our discussion earlier about like modern and vintage all becoming like one again isn't so much divisiveness. Um, I think people like I said, I don't think it's right to think that just because something's old and rare and mint are better, just because the pop report's low, just because whatever historical significance it has. I don't buy into all of that. However, I always say the popularity and demand thing. I think there's still enough popularity and demand for a lot of the vintage cards. Now, not all. I'm not saying that like it's going to be like the rising tide raises all ships like it did during the boom. However, like that's why I own first edition base set nines. Like yeah, like a lot of the jungle fossil cards, maybe they are still they drop too low. Maybe some of the other popular Pokemon, right? Popular Pokemon, the ones actually people want to chase after in other sets that may have low pop reports, but may have too much demand. And there's just not enough available in the market. There's not enough graded in general. Um, they could have taken too much of a beating lately, and they could be bottoming. So yeah, I think there's definitely still opportunity out there, even in vintage.
As Brew City TCG said, initiation complete. Alex just checked off the final tenant. He is now fully inside of the vintage cabal. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you on that one. I think tens are I think tens are expensive. I think those I wouldn't be buying tens necessarily. But nines I think do have I think do have definitely have room to grow. Considering how cheap some of them are. I know people don't like comparing pack prices to the single cards that you can get from the pack, but it is wild to think that the pack is so much more expensive than one of the chase cards within the set as a nine. Um, so I do think those types of cards do have potential, and I do think people are always going to be interested in WotC. And if you're collecting WotC, I think more people are interested in first edition over unlimited. Um, so I think specifically first edition WotC Hollow Nines are the way to go.
Yeah, I think
And I would love to take like that's a whole discussion we could have about pack prices. Like that is going to be a huge like shift in the modern era because even there's a whole bunch of discussion about weighing if you can weigh or can't weigh. I don't even get into all that. Let's just say you can weigh. Let's say you can weigh the packs and you can actually pull heavies out. Well, with all the different hits in modern, you're still it's still so impossible to get what you want. So it's like, how are modern packs going to end up being compared to vintage packs? Because vintage packs, I mean, 1 out of 3 you get a hollow. If it's a heavy, 1 out of like 15 or 16 you get the card. Nowadays, it's like even if you found a quote unquote heavy pack for modern, you're not pulling that Moonbryon or you're not pulling that Latias Latios. So it's going to be interesting to see if the still pack prices end up being anything like near the ratios that vintage are compared to the set.
Yeah, that will be a very interesting dynamic. But I agree with what these guys said with respect to WotC nines. I'm still selling a lot of them. I think I can do better with the capital flipping rather than just sitting on them investing. But I think a lot of the prices in 2020 got to where people were investing. Investors typically do worse in non-productive assets when everyone's investing. In 2020, nearly everyone was investing. Now, very, very few are. I think more people are collecting. So I think that's generally when investors will do better. Like, historically speaking, WotC nines have just done pretty well. They've done pretty well over the years, just slowly drifting up, like very reasonably, very sustainably. 2020 went nuts and it fell from there. But at some point, I think it could fall too low to where it's a decent opportunity again. That said, I'm still not going to personally invest in them. May I hold a couple as like a collectible piece, and then may they appreciate over time? Possibly, but yeah, that's a good little clip there we got out of Alex. A lot of clips from today. I had one ready, and then I just lost it. Where'd it go?
I will throw something into it. It's kind of more like, I know people don't like the whole timing the market as opposed to time in the market, but paying attention to the available copies of cards when you get back to vintage, like on the market, because they are lower pop report and there are less people looking to sell. Um, paying attention to how fast they're moving, how many are left, you can make significant gains just because the market can move very quickly if just a few cards start to get bought up. I mean, I know I was paying attention to some of them like Snorlax and Jungle recently. I mean, it was just a couple months ago, it was selling for hundreds of dollars less, and now there's confirmed auction sales, way up in like the 800s, I think. And that can happen across the board because it takes a lot less to move the markets when the scarcity is so high.
Pokemon Wonder says, Dan and Nick, you both have stated you're happy as single employee businesses. How do you prevent the overgrowth? Keeping the balance at some point will be difficult. I never will directly, or at least I never intend to directly hire employees, but I still lean heavily on consignment services. Like I do, it's interesting because I do consignment services for other people, but then I also lean on other people's. I'll definitely always bleed off inventory through things like ComC, Troll and Toad. Troll and Toad only for a short time longer, but through James, through Probstein, through DC Sports. I 40, 50, 60 hours a week, however many hours it is. I optimize my time. I try to put my energy towards those things that I enjoy the most and that make me the best return on my time. And then that's it. Obviously, the one of the best ways to scale is just to hire people. Hire people, pay them $20 an hour, doing work that makes $50 an hour. They get the 20, you get the 30. You can really scale it and go whole investment banker there. But I'm just a humble fisherman, so I'm happy with the one-man operation. Double eye roll at the same time.
Humble fisherman.
That's a good clip right there. Double eye roll. I like it.
Not the best time to ask me this question. Not the best time. Preventing overgrowth. That is something I'm struggling with right now. These eBay lives have been going really, really well, but it's really, really tough. I have not been able to. I haven't listed anything buy it now in my store. Like I listed like 10 items last weekend. Aside from that, it's been like a month at this point since I've listed anything new buy it now, and it's because it's just these eBay lives, like prepping for them, doing the actual live, packaging the next day. It takes up like the bulk amount of my time. So back a couple of months ago, I actually had a friend of mine's son. I reached out to him, asked if his son was looking for summer work. He said, yeah. So he's working for me part-time, opening up like ETBs and building battle decks and collection boxes and stuff like that. Kind of getting everything sorted out for me, which has been a massive, massive help for me. And so now I'm thinking about kind of taking the next step and looking into getting someone to like a remote hire person, someone that I can send pictures and prices to and say, okay, list these items for me this week. I think that'll be coming up for me soon. So that way I can focus more of my efforts on these lives and kind of outsource all of the listings, because right now I just can't keep up with the listings. I'm not gonna have Obsidian Flames like the bulk cards listed for Friday, which is something I always really like to have done. I like to have all those reverse hollows, reverse hollows, commons, uncommons listed. I'll be lucky to have the hits listed for the midnight release on Friday. So I think I've reached a point where I need to either scale back and stop doing that type of stuff, which I'm not ready to do that just yet, or bring someone else on, which is something that I've been thinking about the past couple of weeks and thinking that I will do that, hopefully within the next month or so. That one will be a lot tougher for me to do. It was tough for me to give up control over opening sealed product and breaking stuff down. Having someone actually list items for me on eBay is going to be really tough for me to give control up over. But I think it's something that needs to happen in order to like grow further.
Hey Nick, are those 1099 employees or are those W2s?
Oh, I think I have someone at the door. I gotta run. I saw another question in the chat.
Yeah. Anything to add on that, Alex? Or Alex, you've actually ran a business before. Like, do you want to talk about it all, having had employees and how that all went? Do you ever see yourself having employees again, pros and cons of it?
I mean, the only way to obviously grow is you have to start giving up control. And a lot of like wealthy people or successful people say that you can get like 70-80% of production out of an employee that you could do yourself. You're doing pretty good. Also, obviously your margins are going to go down. So, I mean, for me, the reason when you talk about unstable growth or whatever, that's why I ended up selling my company. Because it was great when I first started out. It was just me and a neighbor of mine. I was paying him, and it was just us two running the whole business. And I was just turning away work because we had too much. And then I eventually said, you know what? No, I'm going to grow this. I want to get big, and put on another crew, another truck, a whole another mess of equipment to dealing with other people showing up on time, keeping employees. Your margins go down because they don't work as fast. They also, are harder on the equipment. And basically, thing is with like a business, as you grow, you're going to continue to get smaller and smaller margins. So you're actually going to be doing like 10 times more work and getting maybe 2 times more money. And so for a lot of times, like what Dan does, it's like it doesn't really make sense. Like you're in a spot where it's comfortable, you're making a great income, you don't have the stress. But like, yeah, and then on Nick's point of view, it's like if you do want to grow and become a bigger company, you have to delegate the responsibilities, and you're going to have to be okay with them not working as diligently as you. You're going to be okay with, kind of going backwards almost to go forwards. So you're going to be okay with, okay, well, maybe I'm making a little less margin, maybe I'm not making as much, but not doing as much work, and it's giving me the ability to move in other areas and actually, do more overall in the future. And so, yeah, both ways you can be successful with. It just depends on what your goals are, basically. But with me, I tried to go the big route, and it's not like I failed. It just became too much. It just I didn't like managing employees and managing all the different aspects of the business. And so that's why I eventually sold it. So that kind of gives you an idea.
Alex, that little story, it almost reminds me of a parable that I once heard. Um, I mean, open up your
God, not another one of
dictionaries.
these.
Open up your dictionaries, people. The word enough exists. The word enough exists. A lot of people cross it out and they write more. They scribble more in Sharpie over enough. But to me, the word enough exists, and that's why I think I'll always stay a single man operation. If and when I can't make enough money to justify doing this full time, being a single man operation, I'll probably cease to do this as my full time job. That's just where I stand. Maybe 5 years from now, Dan will be entirely different. Maybe I'll be more is the only word in my verbiage. But as of right now, like I'm pretty sure I'm going the fisherman route.
I think you'll be fine. You got some child labor here in another few years.
We talked about it in the chat. Like my kids are absolutely going to be on payroll. There are very, very good tax incentives towards having like Roth IRAs, so I won't have formal employees though. Like my wife is the VP, my kids will be on the payroll. Like that absolutely goes on. But no W-2s, no non-familial W-2s, no 1099s, anything like that.
And I think it also depends on like what kind of like you, Dan. You've never liked the bulky single type cards. For me, I've always like watching there was an old video about, or I guess like a year ago, about like Burbank sports cards, their operation,
Crazy.
and just
Yeah.
seeing like the millions of cards they have on those shelves. That's what I want to be one day. I would love to have that type of just like every single bulk card available.
That's hell. That
I've
looks like
I've just
hell.
always loved that type of business, and that is just not possible with one person.
See, that's what Burbank has in the back. What Burbank has out on the floor are cases with like 4 and 5 figure slabs. I want that part of Burbank. I don't want the warehouse in the back. uh but yeah, it's all about setting your own goals and doing what's right for you. There's no right answer. There's no right way to run a Pokemon business. There's no like absolute right way to live life. It's all what you want out of life, and set your own goals and do the things day by day that push you towards your own goals. Eric Drinks Water wants to know thoughts on the 2022 Illustrator card promos from Pokemon Center. Have any of you been buying them? I had a couple codes that I used. I have a couple sealed packs of them somewhere. I'm not doing anything with them though. I don't have them listed. I'm not speculating. I'm not grading. I own a couple. They're fine. But I'm not doing anything about it really.
Are these the Arcanine Ninja? Is that what?
There's a Bulbasaur, Arcanine, and something else. Yeah.
Ninja, I think.
Yeah, I thought about making a play on them. There was eBay listings where in bulk you could buy a bunch of sealed packs of them. I think they were as low as like $14 or $15 at one point. But I was looking at the grading value and things, and they didn't seem that lucrative to me, so I passed on it. But yeah, they're cool cards.
Wrong. They're the ugliest cards Pokemon has come out with the past couple of years. I don't like those cards at all. I think the artwork looks absolutely terrible, and that's why I never bought them, never looked into them. I just don't like those cards at all. And that maybe that's against me. Maybe that's like one of my downsides is I won't buy something unless I personally think it's cool. If I don't like it, I won't get into it. And there's a lot of cards that I don't like that are actually doing really, really well.
Danny?
Yeah, I didn't have any type of attachment to them, so I'm cool with you not liking them.
Danny says, what do you guys think about no Master Balls in English 151? I will say that we normally wrap up lately around 4, so we have about 15 minutes left. I'm only 20 minutes behind in chat, so we'll try to rapid fire and get caught up. But me personally, I think the Master Ball thing was cool. I think it was a pretty cool chase that you could opt in or opt out, right? Like you didn't have to go for it, but it was there if you wanted it. It was 1 per box. 151 cards eligible for it. Like, it was a pretty decent chase. 1 out of 151 boxes for that card. It's kind of a bummer if English isn't getting it. I think it was kind of a cool thing. I wouldn't personally collect it, but it would be like a pretty neat thing for those who wanted to chase it.
Yeah, I wish we would have the Master Balls. I think that was really cool. But at the same time, like, how would we, like in the Japanese side, 1 Master Ball per box? That made sense. What would our Master Balls look like? Where we're not getting boxes, we're getting all these different products. But I don't know. I wish we did have Master Balls. I think that'll definitely help set the Japanese set apart from the English.
I like rarity. I mean, I wish they had them. I mean, I like scarcity in anything. It's just, I guess, it's being a collector a bit. I mean, that's why I kind of like what they're doing with the Pokemon Center ETBs. I mean, it doesn't look like they're gonna reprint a lot of those. Like the Mariodon, is higher than the booster box. It's going on TCG Player higher than the Scarlet base booster box. You've got the City of Flames ones to the Moon 151. It's like, so I kind of like that because it's like, look, buy a regular ETB, get the same card. You can get it's like you can get all the same stuff. Not everyone needs to own every single item. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty down that we're not gonna have Master Balls or like higher chase things.
And I think that's one thing I forgot to bring up when we were talking about the serialized thing. I think some of the true collectors out there will really hate serialized because they feel entitled that they have to be able to own everything. And I personally think that's a really weird take. When they are a certain species collector and then it comes out on a trophy card, or they're a certain species collector and then it gets a serialized card. Oh, well, I'm going to quit doing everything now because I can't have them all. I can't have that one. And I guess it is kind of rich. It is kind of rich coming from Catch 'em All Collectibles is my name, right? Saying that it's fine to not catch them all. But yeah, I think that's like a thing that Pokemon will have to reckon with if and when they ever go serialized, if and when they ever do like too much chase. Some amount of people will be mad about that. Some amount of people that feel entitled to getting everything will no longer be able to get everything, and they'll be really mad and potentially really loud and mad about it. And they'll have to deal with some amount of negativity coming from that angle. This is a really good question by Mr. Walrus. I don't know if he's still in here. He said he popped back in for a minute. Hopefully he'll watch it back when he comes back later. But question, with all accounts with distribution access just holding sealed and selling later for more, should Pokemon just sell everything direct at real MSRP and cut out the 2 middlemen? One thing that I've talked about, I think we actually talked about it when we had Squeaks on, Nick, but we talked about Pokemon is one of the few IPs that actually allows for internet retailers to get their product. One thing that would not shock me if in the coming years, Pokemon did no longer allow online retailers to buy product. If Pokemon went exclusively brick and mortar and direct sales to consumers, so Pokemon Center only, Cardinal Gaming, stores like that, Dave and Adam's Card World, brick and mortar only, I would not be shocked because it is kind of a weird system that we're in right now. I can go on one of my distributors. I can buy like 8 different sets on one of my distributors. I think I can buy Brilliant Stars as of today. The issue is I'm paying market. Not only are online retailers semi-hoarding product, just being a middleman, just touching it in the middle, making their margin, but distributors are doing that too. Like we are in a very different market that we were from several years ago. And overall, it's not great for the end consumer. Distributors are almost retailing. Online retailers are half investing, half it's not really flowing to the consumer in the way that Pokemon intends, as far as I would presume. So very, very interesting question by Walrus. I don't think they'd ever go like shunning LGSs altogether, but I could absolutely see Pokemon cranking up the percentage that they do through big box, cranking up the percentage that they do through Pokemon Center, and cranking up the percentage they do through LGS brick and mortar. And I think within the next 10 years, they could completely get done with online retailers. Maybe they won't, but it would not shock me if they did. Said by an online retailer.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really hope they don't do that, but I can definitely see that. Online retailers getting rid of. I can't see it ever being a good move for them to say, okay, all you LGSs are now gone too. We're gonna sell exclusively in the Walmarts, Targets, and on the Pokemon Center. Because for one, you want to get your product out to as many people as possible, and then two, your LGSs are where all of the tournaments happen. If Pokemon says LGSs can't carry sealed modern product anymore, LGSs aren't going to run tournaments for Pokemon. So they're going to stop doing that. Then there's going to be nowhere for people to play. And then Pokemon's just going to fizzle out at that point. But yeah, the online retailers, I can definitely see that happening. There's not enough product to go around as it is, so it would be probably beneficial in some ways. LGS would be able to get more product. But like I said, hopefully we never see that day come.
I mean, I think it's a possibility that it could happen. I mean, with Pokemon buying out the printing facilities, what's to stop them from buying out distributors or warehouses and instead of marking down their products so the distributors can make a margin, just paying more employees and selling it at what the distributors sell for. That could happen. As far as like cutting out different people, I don't know about all that. I mean, LGS are always going to be a thing to get product, but yeah, I think that's something that could really happen. Pokemon could just try to consolidate in the future.
Here's another good question by Mr. Walrus. What is your I haven't scaled correctly and need to rethink my approach moment? When I moved in early 2020 and I physically had to empty all my stuff out of my former house and the things that I unearthed, the things that I realized I had and completely forgotten about. I've constantly, since I moved in late 2019, early 2020, been living in like, I have hoarded too much stuff. Not that I scaled incorrectly, but like I've hoarded too much stuff, and Troll and Toad Evo was a blessing. I'm sad that I'm losing it, but it was a blessing to have had it while I did. What about you guys?
Never had that issue, so all you, Nick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I was. What's the actual question? Oh, what's your? I haven't scaled correctly and need to rethink my approach. Yeah, like I said, right now, where I don't have any time. It's gotten a little bit better now that I've gotten an office down here. But it's still like I wake up, package orders, answer emails, do like 2 hours of like miscellaneous work, get ready for the eBay Live, have dinner, do the eBay Live, rinse and repeat every day. So I've got to figure something out because I can't be doing this every day forever and ever. Eventually it's going to reach a point where I am completely burnt out. So I can do this for a while, because I do really enjoy it, but I do need to start figuring some things out for sure.
Brad Brad says, does anyone remember when the Green Shiz paid someone to list on eBay for him? That was hilarious. For anyone who, I think it was in Oak's Discord that he shared some images of the listings that he had. He paid one of his buddies $1 a listing, and the photos that they took, oh my god, it was hilarious. It was like on the keyboard. You could see like the keyboard wire going across. Like it was just terrible. It was like at a distance, arm's length, super fuzzy. Like, man, hilarious. uh, I think I'm fully caught up actually on real questions at this point. We are 5 minutes from.
This is a real question, Dan.
I think you've been skimming chat. I think you see some fake questions out there. Mr. Walrus had a couple solid ones in a row, but then he kind of flopped on this one a little bit. Can you talk about reverse scamming and what you do as sellers to scam? Taking notes. That one feels a little bit of a fake question. But maybe hit up Blake Martinez. I guess that's all I'll say on that one. Maybe hit up Blake Martinez. I think he might have a couple strategies for increasing the sales side.
I would say so. I would say so.
But yeah, with that, I guess it makes sense to wrap here. You guys have anything coming up? I know Alex is going to be on vacation. Anything to look forward to on your... Actually, that was one thing I want to grab. Nick, are you posting? Desi wants to know, when is your Obsidian Flames recap? When is your overview on Obsidian Flames going to come out?
I honestly, I had given up on the idea of posting that video. But with the stories that I did on Instagram, I got so many messages from people asking when that video was coming that I feel bad, and I have to post that video. So I only got 36 booster boxes on Tuesday, the day that I was posting those stories. So I opened all of those. I'm planning on opening another 36 boxes tomorrow afternoon. So I'll record that video over the weekend when I have less going on, and I'll probably upload it on Monday. So I will do that. I will definitely do that.
You have the cards in front of you now, right? Just do 36. I mean, that's like 1,000 packs. That's plenty. Just do 1,000 packs Obsidian Flame opening.
That's not enough. I mean, who doesn't open 36 boxes nowadays?
If you're gonna do more, you might as well add a 0. You might as well go for 10,000 if you're gonna go over 1,000. Like, no, 2,000.
Yeah.
2,000. I mean, come on, what's that? But yeah, Nick did. You did Scarlet and Violet, and you got like 10K views, right? And then Paldea Evolve kind of tanked.
Yeah, Paldea Evolve wasn't very good. I think that was more so because I uploaded a few videos, and then I uploaded the Scarlet and Violet one, and then I think my next video is Paldea Evolve. So I think now it's just the algorithm does not like me at all, and it's like hiding my videos.
That's a very good point to segue.
Hey, I mean, Mr. Beast only posts once a month and he gets 10, 20, 30 million views. I mean, no excuses. Come on.
That's true. That's true.
Mr. Beast says in a video, anytime, Mr. Beast said in the podcast once, anytime you say algorithm, replace it with audience. The algorithm didn't like that video? No, the audience didn't like that video. The algorithm, in the way that people try to create it as like a boogeyman, it doesn't exist in that way. I truly believe Mr. Beast in that way. If you get high click-through and you get high watch-through, the algorithm will shine upon you because the audience is shining upon you. Like, that's just the way it goes.
That is true. That is true.
And do you ever you pre-record any of your content, like days or weeks ahead of time, or do you pretty much do it like the day of or the day before, or something like that?
The furthest I've gone in a while is like I'll like I don't have Monday's video done yet. I might do both of my next Monday videos this Sunday. So sometimes I do 2 recorded in the same night. So I'm like a week out. I've never been like 2 or 3 weeks out. There's been times where back like a year ago when I was doing 3 videos a week, there was times where I was 4 or 5 videos out, but that was still only a week and a half. A couple times that I did that, something drastically changed. I remember recording one for like 2 weeks, and then some news came out and everything I said was invalidated. So I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
That's been my issue. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be on vacation, so no lives, but I really don't pre-record. Like mine are either like the day of or the night before, and that way like all the data's fresh, nothing's changed. It was extremely difficult to try to film content to be released while I'm on vacation, and make sure like most of it was like not at the whims of what could change in the market, or like content that can kind of almost like timeless, where it's like
More
just like the
evergreen, yeah.
idea. Yeah, but so this was like one of the hardest things for me over this past couple weeks, is trying to get, things together for, when I'm not going to be here to be watching things and making fresh content. It's kind of crazy.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure I'll have to do it a week or two out at some point. I'll try to do a more generic, like a refresh on how I ship PSA cards, or I'll do like a more generic flipping, selling on eBay, evergreen type video. But
Yeah, as soon as you change up how you ship them into boxes, that'd be great.
yeah. uh yeah, with that, anything you guys want to say in closing? Any place? I mean, go subscribe to Nostalgia Nomics. Sounds like he's going to be on vacation, but his channel won't. He's got some pre-recorded videos, so look forward to those. Nick, I mean, I'm not going to believe it till I see it, but supposedly he's going to post an Obsidian Flames recap video. So go subscribe to Old School Pokemon for that. I'll be doing my thing every Monday as I do. Anything else to shout out or anything else to say in closing as we leave?
Thanks
I
for
appreciate
joining
you
us
guys
today,
accepting me.
Alex.
Yeah, I appreciate you accepting me into the Cabal. I don't know how to feel about it yet, but I definitely feel something.
Yep, it's the place to be. We are glad to have you. Thanks for coming on. Thanks everyone in chat for keeping things lively and spicy. It was a fun chat as always. So with that, we will catch you all later.